Support your local streamer TRRS Friendship Triangle.
2, hello, check. Two, hello. Hello, chat. Hello. Sibilance. What is up? Alex Midnight. Thanks for the 6 months of Tier 1. Alex Midnight, thank you for that. Very much appreciated. Chat, get in here. Get in here. Bring it on in. Turn that down. Bring it in, chat. How are we doing? How are we doing? Sound off in the comments.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Woot.
Woot, indeed. Effusive Stoic, thank you for 33 months, Tier 1. Thank you, Effusive Stoic. Very kind of you. How are we doing? I'm in EP little guy mode today. I'm always in that mode. I love that mode. I'm always EP. You know, it's like one thing that you can like make major changes in your life just by like going to bed at like a normal time. It's crazy how much, like, if you go to bed at like 10:30 even, like not even that early, but like 10:30, 11, and sleep until 7, 8 a.m. maybe. If you do that for like a couple weeks straight, you're going to have this huge improvement. You're going to have a huge improvement in your physical health, your mental health. You know? But at the same time, fuck you. You know what I mean? At the same time, fuck you. No, I'm not going to go to sleep at 10:30. No. How about that? How about that? What do you think about that, asshole? I'm not going to. You gotta teach that meat prison who's the alpha. Thank you. Thank you. Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to live. As the song goes. I just saw guest butt crack on Majority Report. TRRS 2, maybe 2 one day. Well, maybe, Husker. You never know. You never know. Hello, Husker. I love staying up, but this week I have work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Don't let your multiple 12-hour shifts at your job dictate when you can and can't go to bed. Oh, do you have to ask mommy and daddy as well? Oh, please. Can I stay up a little bit later, please? Don't let your job tell you what to do. Joe, come on. We're better than this. We're better than this, Joe. That's how the man wins. That's how you let the man win. When you start making concessions like that. I'm sorry, Joe. I don't mean to be mean. I'm trying to be mean. That is a lot. That's a lot of work. But seriously. You know? But seriously. I'm going to look at my phone for 2 hours without my glasses on, 2 inches from my face in bed, and then go to sleep at 3 a.m. like a real man. Thank you, Bleep Lord. Thank you. This is how we take our autonomy back, okay? This is how we take our autonomy back, by not sleeping and by staring at the little glowing rectangle of sadness that makes you feel bad. For hours. Just spend hours looking at the little glowing rectile that makes you feel bad. Rather than sleeping. That's what we need to be doing. More of. Not less. More. We need more of that. I'm glad we're all on the same page about this. I just started a new character, new world in Terraria, first time in 3 years. That's cool. I've never played Terraria, but it does seem kind of neat, though. It does seem neat. I wait till midnight for the new Wordle to drop, and then I try to get some shut-eye, but once the puzzles are solved. Usually I save those for when I wake up, although today I haven't done it. I do connections and Wordle when I get up, but I just realized I haven't done it yet. Because sometimes I give in and I do it at midnight.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Get it twisted tornado checkmark. Stare at the blue screen, blue circle, cell phone, drink coffee after 3 p.m. hot beverage, 3 o'clock sub to TRRS friendship triangle.
Thank you, Joe. Now you get it. Now you're getting it. Now you're in the spirit. That's the spirit. I do them with my partner, but he's not a morning person. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes I do them at night. And then, like, later in the day, it's like, ooh, I'll do connections. And it's like, meow. Meow. It's already done. Hot beverage. Get some hot bean juice going, as they call it. Bring back Farmville. We should. We should bring back Farmville. Remember when all our parents were into Farmville? Our parents and grandparents, and now they're into like psychotic reactionary conspiracy theories. We need to get them back on the Farmville, because like somewhere we took a left turn. Or not a, I don't know if that would be a left turn. We took some kind of a turn, maybe a U-turn. Our parents used to be into this harmless clicky click Facebook stuff. And now they're all looking at Nextdoor, like freaking out about people with backpacks walking through their neighborhoods that they don't recognize and calling the cops. And their brains have melted into slag. The Farmville to AI Jesus pipeline. Now they're all worshiping AI Jesus. What the fuck? What happened? What the fuck happened? Why not that in-between point when they were into Farmville and glued to Fox News? Yeah, there was days when just like being into Fox News was like the worst thing that you could be looking at. Now it's like we wish our parents would be back on Fox News. My parents don't watch Fox News, but this is kind of a general thing, generalization. We wish they would be back on Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck seems fucking harmless now. He's just like a harmless, rotund little guy. Someone called Walls your dad minus Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. People forget it, but they were chanting "fuck Fox News" on January 6th. Of course, Fox News was helping facilitate the steal. They were helping facilitate the steal. Helping steal, classic Fox News, stealing the election for the demon rats. They were stealing the election for the demon rats, and we thought we could trust Fox News. Well, we couldn't. They've gone woke. Or as Max says, they've gone wool. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one, but the Insurgents episode on Walls was really good. Yeah, I thought so. Honestly, like, there's a lot to like about Walls. Like, I think Walls is probably better than Kamala, actually. I think Walls, that would actually be a way better presidential candidate. I was particularly surprised to learn about Walls' foreign policy positions that he's taking over the years. You know, being against the dirty war in Syria and voting for all the Yemen war powers legislation. normalization with Cuba, Iran deal. He's been on the right side of a lot of foreign policy positions. That's what's so frustrating about this entire progressive except for Palestine thing. It's very real, this progressive except for Palestine thing. It's like inexplicable. I mean, maybe it is explicable. I don't know, but it's like, it's fucking insane that it's like someone can be on the right side of so many fucking issues over the years, taking brave, bold stances against the security state, against endless wars. And then when it comes to like this, the crime of crimes, one of the most horrific human rights atrocities ongoing that we've witnessed in our adult lives, they'll just kind of like, what can we do? Wish we could do something. That's crazy to me. It's honestly crazy. It is what it is. Like, that's it, really? Honestly, even just the ability to say it is in our interest to get into a war with China and answer correctly no is more than you'll get in other Yankee politicians. I agree. Like, I agree. Like, and we can talk about all these positions and talk about the ways that Walz is like a solid VP pick, or someone like for the U.S. government, the low bar of the U.S. government, someone that's taken a lot of really great positions over the years. Looks at Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. It's a little explicable, even if it's not justifiable. Well, there it is, right? There it is. But Cori, and we're going to be talking about this today. It's a little bit early to be getting into this. My brain is still kind of in wake-up mode here. But I want to talk about Cori Bush and Cori Bush's whole like concession speech and how much respect I have for people that are trying to work within that system who put it all on the line to take the right position on this and say, I'm going to take the right position on Palestine. I'm going to take the right position on Gaza. And you know what? If I lose my coming election as a result of that, okay. I think we need to see more of that from people that are going to be like building power within the US government or the Canadian government or the British government. You're building power by joining these big parties and being part of the system. Okay, well, you've got a little bit of power now. So take the proper position when it's time to do so. And if you lose, you lose. That to me is what building power is. You have the power to use your platform and your station to take the proper, correct stance, which will be totally vindicated by history. And I'd like, what if I do that? I'm going to lose my election. Okay, well, so be it. What's more important? You like losing an election or maintaining whatever semblance of a soul or humanity that you have left? You know? And too few people take option 2. And too many people take option 1. As someone from Missouri, I'm fucking pissed that AIPAC can just spend millions to take the one good politician from this state. Yeah, I mean, Ilhan Omar called this out years ago, talking about the influence of the Israel lobby, and guess what? Everyone called her an anti-Semite back then as well. So they ran smear campaigns, and just that worked. I don't get it. Our voters a bit, excuse my French, I'm not trying to blame the voters per se, daft. Well, the thing is, like, when AIPAC gets involved in these races, it's not just about Israel. They're not just like Israel. They just fund the opponents, and they fund attack ads that they think are going to be effective about whatever subject. And they put whatever money they can to tip the scales. And it doesn't always work, but in some cases it does. Like we talked about, AIPAC wasn't the only reason Jamal Bowman lost. There's a whole lot of other factors as well. Yeah, of course, the picture AIPAC posted about Cori Bush is also wildly racist. It is. Hello, Dick Penderin. It's okay that you've been away for a while. It's no problem. Glad to have you back. Whoa, Dave Legend Raid.
Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Dave Legend Raid. Dave, hello. Thanks. How was the stream today? Thanks for the raid. I appreciate it, Dave. What's up? Why is your globe spinning backwards? Because the world is backwards, okay? It's a specific comment on that. And in fact, the spinny globe was created by none other than Dave Legend, the raider that just came in here. The pro streamer, Dave Legend, created this image. And no, it's not spinning backwards. It's spinning backwards intentionally. It's because we need to go back in time, like Superman. Remember when Superman flies around the Earth and he reverses the flow of time? And then you see the world turning backwards? It's because we need to go back. For whatever reason. Because that's how physics works. You know what? I have a little bit of an issue with that. I think people incorrectly, when they see that scene of Superman flying around the Earth and reversing the flow of the Earth, I think they incorrectly assume that he's like flying, or maybe this is just me that was dumb and thought this. I think they just incorrectly assumed that flying around the Earth so fast reversed the Earth's spin, which made time go backwards. But really, it's just he's flying so fast that he goes back in time, and the going back in time is indicated by the Earth spin reversing. I never thought that. Perhaps it's just me that thought that, Joe. Perhaps it's just me. Don't listen to Rob. He didn't notice it spun the wrong way until now. No, I noticed, but you know what? It fucking looks cool. I don't care. I don't care that it's spinning backwards. I don't care. It looks cool, and I like it. And if the Earth was spinning in the other direction, the TRRS thing then that would be going backwards, and then that wouldn't look right either, would it? No, it wouldn't. That's also how physics works. Thank you, Bup Forte. That's right. Maybe we're spinning backwards. That's a great point. Sarah McPoopy. That's a great point. Maybe we are. This is how the Earth spins. They don't want you to know the truth. Thank you. Yes. I knew he didn't travel back in time because he didn't use a bird of prey. Yeah, this is what film logic tells us, that when you go fast, you just travel fast enough, you go back in time. Whether it's Superman just being sad and flying super fast, or if you're in a Klingon bird of prey and you slingshot around the sun at warp speed, you just go back in time. That's just how it happens. That's how it works. This is known. Thank you. Everyone knows this. Yes, the Earth spinning backwards is because we're in the no spin zone. That's right. That's a way to indicate that visually. Extra points for see-through aluminum. Star Trek 4 is just so good. It's honestly so fucking good. There's a couple of really good Star Trek movies, a couple of not great ones, but man, Star Trek 4 is just fantastic. It's so good. It's funny, too. It's really funny. I think that's people underestimate that. It's like really funny. It's like basically a comedy. And the whole thing with the whales and that probe. And they don't even have the Enterprise. They're all like bedraggled and like fucking messed up from all the big adventures they've been on. I believe that is the one I did believe, yes, Leonard Nimoy did direct that one. And then Shatner directed the next one, and it was not good. I think the rule of thumb is the even-numbered ones are good. I haven't seen, like, Star Trek the Motion Picture in quite a long time. I think Star Trek, like, the original one is good. Wrath of Khan, also very obviously good. Voyage Home, excellent. What's 5 again? The Final Frontier, I think it's called. There's even stuff that I like about Final Frontier. It's just like overall, it doesn't really hold up as much. Undiscovered Country is amazing. Undiscovered Country is so good. I would like to rewatch all of these. But the thing is, we're talking about the even numbered, the odd numbered ones. I think Search for Spock, there's stuff that I like in there. In 3 and 5, there's stuff that I like. I don't think they don't get quite to the same level. I wouldn't call them bad though. It's still Star Trek. You still have the Enterprise. You got the whole crew. You got the costumes. They're going on adventures. You know? There's still things that I like about them. They're just not quite at the same level. Maybe the criteria is that those really good Star Trek movies are just really great movies. And they're not just really great Star Trek movies, they're just really great movies. And then the less good ones are just they're quality Star Trek stuff, you know? It's Star Trek. There's things that are really cool about them, but they don't quite rise to the level of being like of transcending the genre and transcending the Star Trek brand, the Star Trek iconography. I remember I saw Star Trek Generations in the theater because I loved Next Generation. I was so excited for the Next Generation movie. It's not that good, but there's still memorable stuff in there. There's still memorable stuff in there. Obviously, First Contact, quite good. Insurrection is probably one that I've seen the least. I think that's like a average episode of TNG at film length. Like there's really nothing that special of it. Do you like the Orville? I should watch it more. I've never really watched it, but I actually have heard it's really good for fans of that kind of genre. I kind of like Nemesis, the last TNG movie. This is kind of an unpopular position. Again, not great. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's a great movie. But I think it's a little underrated in terms of those Star Trek movies. Nemesis is not that bad. It's got Tom Hardy. You know what's stupid about Nemesis, though, is that they do this whole, Picard clone story, and they make him, young Picard, but he's bald. But, they had to totally change canon. Picard is not... He just has male pattern baldness. He's not, canonically bald for his entire life. He had hair, and his hair fell out when he got to be older, which is very common. It's not that big of a deal. But then you got this young Picard clone, and it's no, he's bald too. Because of, there's just in the Picard genetics, he's just bald. Did you just say canonically? Yes. Canonically. Canonically? Canonically. Fuck. Anyway, there's the whole ending of Nemesis, I think, is pretty good, and it works. It's quite epic. The whole ending, the face-off with the Enterprise and the Romulan ship. Rob, say Scourge, please. Scourge. Patrick Stewart did start balding in his late teens, at least. Okay, well, maybe. Maybe. But it's not just he had no hair at all. He went bald. He went bald early, sure. But, even Picard, as an adult, had hair on the sides of his head. He wasn't just, fully bald. I can't remember. You agree DS9 is the best Trek. I have kind of mixed feelings on this because I love DS9. I think maybe quality-wise, it is the best. I think in terms of my personal preference, it's Next Generation for me. I think DS9 reaches higher sustained highs, but I think I just love Next Generation because it's what I really grew up with. And I just love the cast. I love the ship, you know? The Enterprise D. I love Picard. But I loved... Don't take anything away from DS9 because I love DS9. It's really good. How do we feel about the new Star Trek movies? I don't think they've aged well. And the cast is fantastic. Chris Pine is fantastic. Is great. I never was on board with like recasting the original series though. I never liked that creative decision, even if they tried to do this like alternate timeline thing. Cast is fantastic. Like it looks pretty good. It is basically U.S. military propaganda, for sure. Star Trek Into Darkness was a piece of shit, and I didn't even see was it Beyond? I didn't even see that one. You know what I hated about J.J. Abrams doing that? Is like the phasers, you know? You fire the phaser in Star Trek and it's like a beam. It's like a beam of light and energy, you know? And it's cool. It's cool to have like a phaser battle. And it's this beam of light and energy. And then they just changed that in the movie. Now it's like a pew, pew, pew thing. But it's like, wait, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. That really bothered me, honestly. That really bothered me. They did Star Warsified it. A big long beam, Red Wizard. Yes, I do say that. I am saying that. Didn't J.J. Abrams say he hated Star Trek? I wouldn't be surprised.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Crackety Kraken, thanks for 42 months. Yeah, St. Lotus, I saw your comment, okay? I saw your comment. We're not starting this. We're not doing this. Short beams versus one continuous beam. I need to, I'm going to have my phaser, I need one continuous beam. One who reads. Galaxy Quest is fantastic. They went from pew, 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 to pew, 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 and it just feels wrong. Thank you. Sinister Hand. That's exactly it. That's exactly right. I thought Beyond was the closest one to Trek, but it's still not great. I never even finished it. I never even finished Beyond. And I agree with that assessment as well. But it's when you're trying to make it like more of a real Star Trek kind of movie, and it's built on this foundation of crap, it just doesn't hold up. We hate the pew. They're doing the phasers. It used to be one long continuous beam. Now it's a pew. We've gone from one long beam to a pew. Because of DEI. They've gone woke. That was pretty good. I think that one was pretty good. I think that was pretty good. That was one of my better Trumps. That was not bad. The woke short beam versus the traditional masculine long shot. Yes. Yes. I liked what I saw of Strange New Worlds. I did see Ensign Mount, the captain in Strange New Worlds, Captain Pike on Strange New Worlds, who I think was good in the show. Did some pro-Israel bullshit, so it's like, we'll get out of here. Fuck off. I couldn't get through 2 episodes of Enterprise. It was agony. I've never watched Enterprise all the way through. Although my older brother, who's a big Star Trek guy, has always told me that he really likes Enterprise, that it gets quite good. And I trust his opinion on it, but I've just never gotten around to watching it. An older brother? Yeah, I have 2 older brothers. Star Trek cast members being insufferable libs is just tradition at this point. Yeah, it's like not only do like the MAGA people not understand Star Trek, it's gone woke now, but it's like even the insufferable libs that are on Star Trek don't even understand this world that they're part of. They've created fully automated luxury communism, and these people are out there being like, you must vote for the genocide guys. Yeah, Stacey Abrams, yeah. I never watched Discovery. Is Discovery any good? I've not watched one episode, not one moment of it. Not one moment of Star Trek Discovery. Watched most of the first season, couldn't get into it. I've heard, okay, so this is maybe like, I don't know if this criticism makes sense, one who reads. I've never watched Lower Decks. I've heard people say, you gotta watch Lower Decks. You gotta watch Lower Decks, it's really good. For whatever reason, just that format with the kind of like humor and animation just doesn't sit right with me. Even if it's good, you know? It just doesn't sit right with me. It seems closer to parody than like an actual Star Trek. And it's based on one of my favorite Next Generation episodes. That the Next Generation episode, Lower Decks, is an awesome episode. I love that. I've tried 4 times to watch Lower Decks. I wanted to die every time. It seems to be divisive. Listen, if you like it, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. It is parody. Okay, well. I've never seen Star Trek, but did they ever justify space genocide because it's too complicated or because that it's space anti-Semitic to not support genocide? Not at all. In fact, in Deep Space Nine, there's a huge allegory for the Israeli-Palestine conflict. And one of the main characters, Major Kira, is basically like a Hamas person that have overthrown the Cardassians and then becomes a like senior leader working with the Federation. They basically say that doing terrorism is okay and good to do when you're under occupation, when your people are being the victims of genocide. Star Trek says it's a-okay to do terrorism. And it's morally and politically acceptable to do this. There's an episode of TNG that makes the same analogy. It's not with the Bajorans and the Cardassians, but with that charismatic terrorist that kidnaps Beverly Crusher. I love that episode as well. I've watched a few clips of it on this show before. When Beverly Crusher is trying to lecture this guy, oh, you use violence to solve your political issues, and he's just like, he's so disgusted. He's like, yeah, I do use violence. What happened in the United States of America, where your people come from? Was that a little bit violent? Oh, it was? Okay, shut the fuck up. Yeah, I use violence. I love that episode. It's great. And even in that episode, I believe it's that same episode is the one where Data is like looking throughout history, and Data is like objectively, as like an objective observer of humanity and Android, is like, it kind of seems like violent terrorism is like the main way to have political change. Like, look at all these examples throughout history. And they're kind of like, yeah, well, but, you know, and he's like, he's totally correct. It's true. Was Beverly of Irish descent as well? Yeah, that would make it even more hypocritical. Is data a dialectical materialist? Listen, Marxism is a science, as we know. Dialectical materialism, it's a science. So it's not that data is, he's not human, he doesn't have an ideology, he's an objective observer of reality. And he correctly understands the science of Marxism and dialectical materialism, and incorporates that into his analysis of historical events. He's just calling balls and strikes. That's right, exactly. The show even tried to make Kira feel regret, and while she does somewhat, overall, she's like, no, fuck them, they deserved it and more. And she's correct. She's absolutely correct to do so, to say these things. Data also actually tried to murder someone once, so there's also that. Another great episode. Another great episode with amazing character actor Saul Rubinek in that one, as that like weird like collector guy who kidnaps Data. I love Saul Rubinek. He's so good. He's good in absolutely everything that he ever does. Listen, Saul Rubinek shows up in True Romance. True Romance is a movie that has one of the best casts ever in any movie in history. True Romance. Saul Rubinek shows up for like 15-20 minutes in the end and like is just amazing. Just chewing the scenery. He's so funny and good. He steals scenes in movies with some of the very best actors like ever. Walken, Hopper, and Slater. Yeah, it's Christian Slater. It's Patricia Arquette. It's Dennis Hopper. It's Christopher Walken. It's Gary Oldman. It's Brad Pitt. It's Val Kilmer is even in that. Kind of off-screen. Val Kilmer plays Elvis in True Romance, and you never really see his face. It's Tom Sizemore. It's oh gosh, what's the fucking actor's name? The guy from Reservoir Dogs. Nice Guy Eddie. I'm starting to not remember my character actors' names. Chris Penn, thank you. Thank you. That's the ultimate sign that I'm getting older. I'm starting to not be able to recall character actors from 90s films that I liked. James Gandolfini. That's right, James Gandolfini's in there. Like, that movie's insane. The cast of that movie is insane. And Saul Rubinek shows up in the end, and he's just fucking fantastic. And also fantastic in that Star Trek episode where Data almost kills somebody. Not to poo-poo on the excitement here, but is Saul pro-Palestine, or has he not really spoken out? I don't know, Ames, whether character actor Saul Rubinek has spoken out about this. If he has, I haven't heard anything about it. Bronson Pinchot as well is a good example. Is another one. Bronson Pinchot is awesome in that, and he never got to do anything. He played Balky in Perfect Strangers, this kind of goofy like sitcom role, and he was in Beverly Hills Cop, also very good in that. And he's in True Romance was the only time I ever saw him get to be in a movie where he's just like a normal guy. And he's fantastic. God, that movie is just so good. Oh no, True Romance is not the last. This is before James Gandolfini was James Gandolfini. It was in 94. It came out in 94. It's a really an amazing combination because it's one of Quentin Tarantino's very first screenplays, and with the fucking legend Tony Scott directing, with one of the best casts ever. It's because you don't see a lot of Tarantino screenplays directed by other people. So in addition to that cast, you got a script by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Tony fucking Scott, and an amazing score by Hans Zimmer as well. Yeah. And a really unique score as well. It's not the typical kind of Hans Zimmer epic score. What a fucking movie. God damn. God damn. Love that one. I guess it's kind of unique too, because it's like, now we've gone from Star Trek to True Romance, and the connecting tissue was Saul Rubinek. Apparently Bronson Pinchot is a prolific audiobook narrator. Well, I love that for him. That's good. I like that. I think you get a 3-month subscription to Apple TV if you gift a sub or start a new sub. And guess what movie's on Apple TV? That's right, True Romance. There you go. Good excuse to watch this classic picture. It's interesting because just like it's a movie about these two characters, right? Patricia Arquette and Christian Slater, and you follow them through this kind of journey through the whole movie, and they just encounter like all these actors that I'm mentioning. They're not in the movie over and over. It's like they're all doing just like a few scenes, you know. So everyone just shows up for a couple scenes, and just every single character actor in the movie is this huge heavy hitter. And you know what? You know who else is fantastic in that movie? You know who else is fucking great in True Romance? Michael Rappaport. I take no pleasure in reporting this. Michael Rappaport is fucking great in that movie. I don't like it. Believe me, I don't like it. I don't like Michael Rappaport as a person. Not at all. I think he should be in jail. I think Michael Rappaport, the actor, should be in jail. It's an ugly truth, is that he's very good in that movie. And yes, Samuel L. Jackson in one scene for like 20 seconds. Yeah, for sure. And he's great. He's awesome in that scene, too. He was on Fallout for a hot minute. And you know what, Dakadoon? You know what? I liked him on that as well. I like some people be like, oh, Michael Rappaport, fuck you. He sucks. He's bad. That's the shitty thing, is that he's not bad. I like him when he shows up in things, usually. If I had knew nothing about his political views or whatever else, I'm like, hey, Michael Rappaport, I always like when he shows up and stuff. He's funny. He's in Fallout for a few scenes, and he's funny. I was laughing. Or I was like, almost laughing until I remembered his like horrible, disgusting opinions and beliefs. Sad. The actor with the worst politics just had a great performance. I agree, old Dutch. Believe me, I agree. When I'm praising any of these people, couldn't agree more. I loved him in the movie. Send him to one of the torture dungeons, frankly. You know? I think it's not mutually exclusive. You can believe two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. Thank you, Sean. What do you figure is the up-down on the date of the Iranian retaliation for the assassination of Hania? So we're getting right into the thick of things now. We're pivoting from a little lighthearted pop culture discussion to some real shit, some real business. Come in and Rob is saying a man can be a great actor and still need to be brutalized in a special gulag designed just for them. Yes, I think I think they call that a dialectic. I think they call that a dialectic. Yes, they're a good character actor. Yes, they should be put in a gulag and you know, have whatever happens there happens. I just got in and asked that without paying attention. I honestly, Sam, I just really don't know. I'm waiting to see how it plays out. I see always a lot of frustration with the patience or with Iran and everything. And people saying like, what, they're a paper tiger? Like, what are they doing? Like, why don't they? But it's like, listen, we're talking about basically starting World War III. So it's like, you know, no matter what our personal feelings are, I do kind of understand the caution. Like, they're not, in my like understanding, they're not a people that are like, especially with these kind of geopolitical situations, they're not going to like overreact based on one thing and go and change their strategy and do something, you know what I mean? It's like they've got a plan and they're sticking to the plan and they trust the plan. You know, believe me, I get the frustration. I get that people are angry and they don't want to see any more restraint and they want to see the fireworks and they want to see the missiles and they want to see this and that. But it's like we're talking about a major, serious escalation that we will not be affected by. When it comes to Iran, the U.S. is basically the guy pointing a gun at someone going, just give me one reason. So the restraint is understandable. Well, it's funny, too, the way that they talk about it. Like, we're waiting to support Israel to defend themselves against Iran. With the fact that, like, Israel is the one bombing Iran, killing Iranian officials in Damascus, and literally killing Palestinian officials in Tehran. And then they're acting like they're the victim and like they're so scared of what they're going to be attacked. That's classic imperialist strategy, right? We're so, I can't believe this violent country might attack us. Well, why do they want to do that? It might have something to do with you assassinating their officials and assassinating other officials in your own country. Perhaps that might have something to do with it. This guessing game is part of the psychological response. Israeli society's in shambles, and this looming over their heads makes it much, much worse. I think there's an element of truth to that as well, Old Dutch. I think there's a real element of truth to that as well. They're just waiting for this attack to come, and they're all fucking losing their minds even more. They're fleeing. They're leaving the country. To be clear, I'm definitely not asking this from the perspective that it should happen ASAP. I think the restraint is actually a show of organization and strength in a form that Israel is completely incapable of. Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that was you making that kind of suggestion, Sam. That was more like a reaction to some of the chatter that I see around this. One problem they have is that Iranian air defenses are quite weak. Aside from a few shitty drones, the only thing they've shot down recently was that airliner by accident. They're going to be facing the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy, plus the IDF. I mean, like that, we do need to understand that, like that any kind of like retaliation like that is going to result in them being like attacked and bombed. The only downside I feel is that I don't want those freaks here either. Well, there needs to be mass re-education. The general populace is so deeply anti-Iran that I literally have friends being like, oh, why is Iran starting World War III? I know, it's insane. It's insane. It's the, you know, we talk about it with Russia and Ukraine. We talk about it with Iran. You know, what other country would tolerate this shit? You know, having their officials being assassinated, having people being assassinated in their own country, in their own capital. What other country is going to tolerate the largest imperialist military power parking a military base directly on their border and aiming missiles at them? They're just supposed to sit back and take it. And when they respond, that's not self-defense. That's them. We're defending ourselves. This this totally staggered deployment of defense, self-defense. This asymmetry between who's allowed to defend themselves and who isn't. Us and our allies, we have the perpetual right to commit violence against other people. We have the perpetual right to defend ourselves, but this right does not apply to any of our nations, and in fact, like any of our like enemy nations. And in fact, when these groups do organize defense, not only is it like not legitimate, but it gets turned into terrorism. Oh, it's terrorism though when they do it. That's why we can't say anything good about any of these places. You know, when they organize militias or armies to fight back against this kind of aggression. Oh, but that's terrorism though. They're doing terrorism, you see. Did you see that Matt Miller clip? The journalist asked him if Iran has a right to defend itself. Yeah, wasn't it something like, oh, yeah, I see what you're doing here, and it's not helpful, kind of thing? Like, what is he doing? It's a basic question. It's just a basic yes or no question. Do they have the right to defend themselves or not? And he just has this, like, bullshit, weaselly, like, wriggling away from the question. I hate Matt Miller's face so much, like he could be straight up a commie and I would still hate him. He's a uniquely detestable person, it's true. It's like his face was designed by an algorithm to be extremely punchable. His fucking smirk. And this deployment of terrorism as well, while the United States government and Israel funds actual terrorist groups around the world, the largest exporter of terrorism, creating like chaotic, violent, depraved situations like in Syria, where terrorist groups form, fully armed and funded by U.S. weapons manufacturers, and they still sit around and call Iran terrorists. They call Hezbollah terrorists, they call Hamas terrorists, they call Cuba terrorists as well. While they're literally creating actual terrorist groups like ISIS. Those groups just fell out of a coconut tree, that's right. They just, no context. No context. They just fell right out of a coconut tree, and they're just violent terrorists, and that's all there is to it. And we can never say anything about it. We can never talk about it. We can never kind of have a discussion about it because they're just terrorists. Cuba on the list of terror-supporting states is one of the most ridiculous thing they ever heard. Well, yeah, exactly. It's insane. Because it terrorizes people to like have doctors being deployed around the world where they need them. And Sean says, good thing we have Kamala now, and that it's her turn to SPAC. It's her turn to SPAC, says Sean Meat in the chat. Okay. Okay. All right. This MFer said, SPAC. That's right. Yeah. SPAC on it. SPAC on it, ma'am. Maybe we can get this to stick. Maybe if we can get this to stick, like even like a year from now, if this stream is still ongoing, a year from now, when Sean does a chat, we can say like, "Oh, are you spacking right now?" SPAC on it. Prigger, you just posted a video named Brazil, a cautionary tale, and guess who's the narrator? I don't know. I don't know. Bolsonaro. He's a grandson of one of their military dictators. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Another technical issue for the Iranians is the distance to Israel. They can't really do anything except fire drones and missiles, and they don't have an unlimited number of their fancier weapons. Use too many when retaliating, and you lose deterrence against Israel or anyone else who might attack them directly. But then you have these proxies, right? So I think the frustration that some people have is like, when are these proxies really gonna step it up? By the way, the other day, this is not a joke. The other day, I was in an actual like club. I was at like a rave in Montreal, and I was watching Hezbollah videos. And I had this surreal out of body moment. I was in a club at about 3 a.m, this like rave thing, and I was sitting here on my phone looking at Hezbollah videos, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa." What is this? It was a really cool video too. Let me find it. Like picture this, okay? It's Montreal. It's a Montreal. It's like a rave. It's like this like cool event. There's loud techno music going dun 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 dun, like that's going on. The lights and everything. There's people dancing, and I'm huddling in a corner with somebody, and I'm looking at this. Really, I would have liked to have just hooked this up to the whole sound system. I would have loved to have just turned off the music and just blasted this on the big speakers. By the way, this is parody. If anyone's watching this, this is a parody. I'm watching this for purely parody and satire reasons. As a joke. Just so, and if in case anyone thinks I'm promoting, that I would dare to use this platform to promote any of this kind of stuff, we all know that I don't support this kind of violence. Okay? This is purely a parody, satirical bit that I'm doing here. Hey, Super, how's it going? Anyway, that was kind of a surreal moment for me. That was a surreal moment. Loving the new COD DLC, exactly. Loving these bits for all the Twitch staff watching, a lot of fans of these bits in the chat. We love to joke around on here, and I don't think that's illegal, right? I don't think it's illegal to joke around. Not yet, anyway. It's still legal, as far as I understand, to joke around a little bit on your Twitch channel. Jokes are free speech. That's right, Super. Comedy is only legal on X. That's right. Joke. You can watch the Trump presser. We could watch it, Dakadude. When is it? It would be a good way to get into the whole like America declines stuff, because I do want to talk about like Kamala Harris, and like we talked about it a little tiny bit, but I am kind of interested to see the Trump presser. They're really desperately flailing right now. Trump seems like he's totally lost it. Trump has no juice and no sauce. He's totally sauceless. He's totally juiceless. He's lost the fastball. He has no juice, folks. No juice. Trump lost the plot on this one. As we've been talking about on the podcast, they were sitting pretty. They're like, we're running against this guy. We're running against this mentally and physically declining old man that his own party hates. Everyone hates this guy. This is going to be easy. It's going to be a walk in the park. Yeah, sure. JD Vance, whatever. Whatever. Let's just run up the score here. Let's run up the score on these nerds. And then all of a sudden this like total shift has happened, and they're just going like, but don't call us weird. You're calling us weird? It's actually you that's weird. It's not weird for us to talk about people's genitals all the time. That's not. It's you're weird for not caring about that, and that's all they've been doing for like 2 weeks. They do seem to be caught very unprepared. And like, yeah, they should have planned on it. We were talking on this stream for months. I didn't think Joe Biden would be the nominee. You can go back to streams for months and months and months, where I was saying, I still don't know if Joe Biden's even going to be the nominee in November. Many, many times I said that. Why they weren't ready for that eventuality? Borderlands 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. True Romance 23% or 93%. Excuse me. That sounds about right. I've heard Borderlands is very bad, and the review embargo is dropping. I think Borderlands is too much of a Reddit property to really translate to film. My prediction is Trump drops out and hands his campaign to JD Vance, who then picks Jeb Bush as VP. I don't think that that's what's going to happen, Sam, but I do think it's within the realm of possibility that Trump's going to ditch JD Vance, though. I do think it's absolutely within the realm of possibility, which would be really funny. No way Big Daddy T drops out. No way. No, it's not going to happen. I do think he's going to ditch JD Vance, though. Or I at least think that there's a chance that he's going to. Any prediction on who Trump would replace Vance with? I don't really know, Husker. I mean, this is kind of the problem, because if he did try to replace Vance with someone that maybe had more establishment credentials or might help win some states, then they're going to really piss off the real hardcore weird groypers that JD Vance was meant to appeal to. I don't think those people are an actual like electoral constituency. So probably on that level, it would probably be a good idea to do that. But there's going to be all kinds of people that are going to rebel then. Discarding multiple VP mates in the next few months would be a power move. It would be, yeah. I think that's how Trump should display his power levels, is by just continually cycling through a bunch of them before November. I think he should cycle... Here's what I think he should do. I think he should cycle through a bunch of different VP picks over the next, like... What is it, like 90 days? And then have a surprise VP on the election. Wouldn't that get people talking? That would get people talking. A surprise VP. You only find out after the election. That would get people really excited. That would get people talking. I think then people would be like, well, we got to vote for him. We just want to find out this big mystery. It's the mystery box. The J.J. Abrams mystery box approach. You should pick a new VP on a show like The Apprentice. That's a good, that's money. That's a license to print money. Trump firing JD Vance would be in character. Absolutely. VP sweepstakes. It could be you. It could be anybody. Which is funny because I actually think that would be a better way of doing politics in like Western liberal democracy. Imagine if you just like, if being a politician was like jury duty. It's not like a career that you had to like scratch and claw your way over people and get all the donations and stuff like that. But it's like you just get a letter in the mail, and it's like, you're an MP now. You got to go to the Parliament or the Congress, the Senate, and go advocate for your community. And you're like, oh fuck, like I'm busy. You know, I'm busy. I don't have time for this shit right now. And it's like, well, you got to do it. Everyone's got to do it sometimes. I think things would be a lot better probably if that's how our political system worked. Picking that weird Forgatio Blow guy or whatever with the face tattoos and the square beard as his VP. Yeah, I think they should do that. I think that'd be that'd be a lot of excitement generated around that. Imagine that though. You just get a letter in the mail. It's like you got to show up in the Capitol and like vote on stuff now for the next couple months. Everyone's trying to get out of it. I can't. I have heel spurs, bone spurs. I can't do it. I can't make it. I'm crazy. Ooh, I think I'm Han Solo. You got to show up to the interview, whatever it is. People are just desperately trying to get out of it. Get a doctor's note. Yeah, I'm washing my hair. They should absolutely do that, like jury duty, free housing in DC for folks in Congress. Yeah, here, you got to go. You got to come to DC for like 3 months. After 3 months, we're going to bring some other people in. And you get $4.35 an hour. Yeah. It should be like bad. It should be like annoying that you have to do it. This whole thing of like being a politician is like this career. We got to get rid of that. It's not good. It's really not good. Trump losing the general might break the Trump fever in the Republican Party. You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. And the interesting thing about the conservative movement in the US especially is that like there's no one else. There's no one else that's going to step up. That was like the whole like thing about the Trump assassination. Not that I would ever use this platform to say that it would be good for anyone to be assassinated, Trump or anyone else. Obviously, I wouldn't say that, but let's say that had been successful. There's no one else. There's no one else to replace him with. The president should be a tipped position. Thank you. I was an anarcho-syndicalist now. No, I'm really not. If you want to go into public service, you have to join the Communist Party. Yeah, so you join the Communist Party, and then everyone just gets selected at random to go like vote on stuff. but as long as it's like some form of socialism. You get to have a little voice into what kind of socialism gets implemented. But inevitably there will be someone else, maybe someone more competent and less silly. But I think that's what we kind of thought, Sean. I think a lot of people thought fucking Ron DeSantis was going to be that guy. That's why there was all the energy about Ron DeSantis. They're like, oh, he has the Trump thing. He's got all the same policies, but he's a little bit more put together. He knows what he's doing a little bit more. He's more competent. No one wants that, though. There's no constituency for that. They don't want that. They didn't like it. They don't like Ron DeSantis. They want someone like Donald Trump. They don't want someone to be competent. They don't want someone to be less silly. But the fascist momentum won't just disappear. No, definitely not. But it might not have as much of an outlet in U.S. electoral politics to the same extent. Especially if these people go into all the real devoted followers of that kind of movement go into these like fucked up conspiracy theories and then start blaming the Republicans for like being responsible for it. Can you imagine trying to sell them Ted Cruz? Yeah, I mean, Ted Cruz was supposed to be the answer to Trump back in the day as well. Or Marco Rubio. Oh, Marco Rubio. He's like the slick, kind of moderate, looks good on camera. He's got the whole like Cuban immigrant backstory, which is totally made up, by the way, and he literally lied about his whole background to make it appear like it'd be like an anti-Castro thing anyways. But remember, they try to anoint people to lead this movement, you know? They try to anoint Marco Rubio. They try to anoint Ted Cruz. They try to anoint Ron DeSantis. These reactionaries don't want these guys, though. They don't like them. They do not like these people. What's his real backstory? I think his real backstory, if I remember correctly, Gus, and maybe someone can correct me on this, but Rubio's real backstory was that his family fled during the Batista regime. His family left Cuba during the Batista regime. And then he just built a political career around being like anti-Castro and doing the whole Cuban anti-Castro thing. And then when people actually looked into it, they're like, his family didn't even leave when Castro was there. They literally left before the revolution. No, I am a Gusano. I am really. He's a phony. He's doing Gusano valor theft. Stolen Gusano valor. He's a fake Gusano. It's true. Yeah, there we go. Little baby beef. That's right. Parents were Cubans who immigrated to the United States in 1956 during the regime of Fulgencio Batista. Maybe they just they knew about the revolution that was going to happen and they were just getting out ahead of time. Maybe that's it. These fucking goofballs. Absolute goofballs. Some of these people. Please look at my meme. Okay, we're looking at memes. Oh my god. Yeah. It was a little bit like that. It was a little bit like that. Not exactly. It was a little bit like that. That's good. That's good stuff. Oh boy. Anyway, that's it. They keep trying to anoint these like competent reactionary guys, but like the base do not want them. They don't want them. They want a fucking weird psycho. If there's ever going to be someone else that's going to unite this conservative reactionary coalition again in the US, it has to be some kind of weird psycho who's weird, like strangely charismatic.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I think that's one thing what it comes down to, though. It's like charisma. You need to have, like for any political leader, you need to have charisma. Biden, like him or not, he doesn't have charisma now because he's so fucking old and like his brain doesn't work anymore. But we've looked at clips of Biden in the past. Detestable person, awful man, but he's charismatic. You know, you walk into a room and you can see people are going to want to talk to this guy, and you can talk to someone like they're normal people. You know, Tim Walz is a little bit like this as well. He's just like a normal guy. Risk Inverse, thanks for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, like none of these, and George W. Bush was charismatic too, you know? It's like you need to have that. Above all else, above policy or whatever, you need to have charisma. You need to have the ability to like speak and have people like want to listen to what you have to say. And like Marco Rubio, DeSantis, Ted Cruz, charismatic? All these people are the opposite of charismatic. Bill Clinton had charisma. We call it Riz now. We call it Riz. Yeah, remember Bill Clinton with the little shorts jogging to McDonald's and stuff? Obama, of course, Obama's a fucking legendary, charismatic, brilliant speaker. You know, it's exactly why he won this historic election campaign in the first place. This is not at all a comment on any of these people's political views or political positions. It's just a basic fact about people that rise to the top of these kinds of like big political movements in electoral politics. DeSantis had no charisma. Zero charisma. Literally zero. Not 1%, not 5%, not 15%. Zero. You have all these people that are like, they try to look normal, and like the more that they try to look normal, the more off-putting it is. Like all the shit with DeSantis, like laughing and like smiling at food and stuff. And it's just like, what is this guy? He's like an alien. He's like an alien that's trying to look like a human being. And this is why I think it's true that there's a lot of liberal politicians that do have this kind of like charisma factor. Not all, but some. And I think it's less common in the conservative movement because they're all weird freaks. You know? And they're not normal people, and they can't, and when they try to appear to be normal, it's very obviously that they're trying to appear normal. They're like the fucking aliens wearing human skin suits. Or Buttigieg eating the bun. Yeah. I mean, Buttigieg, like, I don't think he has charisma. He is a decent speaker though. Like he's been going on TV lately. He's pretty good on TV. I wouldn't call that charisma exactly, but like even put Buttigieg looks next to JD Vance. I think Buttigieg would destroy him, honestly. And that's not a suggestion that I think Pete Buttigieg is like a great guy. I don't. But I think Pete Buttigieg looks way more normal compared to JD Vance. Yeah, he has the consultant thing of being able to drop into a situation and talk at length. Yeah, no, I agree with that. DeSantis being called the Sugar Man was damning because it sounds like a horror villain, like Candyman. I don't even remember the Sugar Man thing. I keep people saying, we've been talking about DeSantis, and I hear people saying Sugar Man. I don't even remember what that is. There's how little attention I was paying to any of this shit. Buttigieg is perfect for Dems, has negative qualifications, but can speak in full sentences properly. What do you mean? He's gone on vacations to all kinds of like hotspots all around the world and knows where all the natural resources are located in any of these kind of geopolitical hotspots. That's a qualification. You got to learn all that stuff. He was basically on keto, would turn down food by saying, "It's the sugar, man," and that became a thing. And yeah, Sugar Man and Meatball Ron just instantly just destroyed this man's entire political ambitions. Destroyed. DeSantis and Vance aren't allowed near carbs or they get huge. True with DeSantis, speculation with Vance. I still call him Meatball Ron, even though he's lost a lot of weight with Ozempic. I didn't even know if Meatball Ron was like a reference to his weight or anything. I just thought it was just like something that Trump was just saying. Yeah, I think they're all on Ozempic. I think Trump's on Ozempic. That's the thing. Trump doesn't fuck around with carbs or whatever. Oh, I can't eat a Big Mac. He just eats his nightly McDonald's meal or his nightly KFC and just takes Ozempic. That's how you do it. Ron DeSanctimonious wasn't even that good. He was just so risless that it stuck. I think Ron DeSanctimonious just is like one of those things that's so stupid that it just works. I don't know. Trump was barely even trying with that one. He was just barely even trying. Okay, we got the man himself. We got the orange man himself. Let's watch this press conference. And
with that being said,
we'll talk about Kamala next.
We have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical leftist Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that they exist.
Like giving kids school lunches. It's just, you can't even believe it.
Nobody's ever even heard of.
You can't even believe it. Giving kids lunches at school. Can you believe that? He looks so very shook.
He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's not, she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar 100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that
he lost all his oomph in this election cycle. He was good in the primary to crush everybody else, not so much now.
To be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some
very low energy right now.
Fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading, and leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible culture that is developing, a culture of no
American
common
culture
sense.
is horrible,
It's really
Donald.
A culture of no common sense. And
American culture is horrifying. I agree.
We want to have a strong military. We want
People don't want it. They're tired of it.
We want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history, in the world history. I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people, and it could be very much higher than that.
Hogan would be a good pick as well, Spooky.
Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. Just like the October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people, and you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything. And they're living
He is looking deflated. I think that's the Ozempic, actually.
With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed with ABC on September 25th. So we have those three dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details.
It's just, Sean, it's just supposed to be his first press conference since the Walz VP pick.
Very easily, I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree.
I really don't think they're going to be able to frame this whole Tim Walz, radical extremist Tim Walz. It's just not going to work. He's such he's the most aggressively normal guy
and she can't do an interview
that you can imagine.
But I look forward to the debates.
Radical leftist Tim. He's taking these positions you won't even believe.
Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? That's
I think there's something to this. I think people have speculated that Trump thinks that asylum seekers, people that are seeking asylum at the border, often fleeing violence and economic instability that's been inflicted by the United States government. I really do think this is true, that he thinks asylum seekers are people coming from insane asylums from other countries. I absolutely believe that to be true. I 100% think that that's true.
In the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president, and because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely.
I remember that as well. I do remember that as well. That is actually true.
She made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with the
nasty woman
and the school bus and all of that.
That was one of his coolest moments. Can you turn him up a notch? Yeah, just one sec. Sorry.
Shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now. This was taken away. The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win
that's
or
a weird stance. I don't know if it's true.
Right to run.
We all know that that's true, Donald.
They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly because I know a lot of people on the other side.
I actually think what he's saying, there's a kernel of truth to what he's saying. We can do it the nice way or we can get rid of you. I genuinely do. Look at Pelosi's comments from the day or two ago. I actually think that that's true. That was the option that was presented to Biden. You can step down with dignity or we're going to do something.
We're leading, so I'm not complaining.
I do think there's an element of truth to that.
For a country with a constitution that we cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe.
No, he's so horrible. Mad that he can't run against Biden. They would have
gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something, but to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed, and he had a rough debate, but that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did, what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said, Border Czar, oh, she loved that name, she loved that name, but she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem.
It's so weird how with modern cameras, all this footage looks fake.
Essentially, she never went to the border.
It's honestly really weird.
And
Like
if you
all of
listen
this
to Tom
footage, because of the
Holman,
high
if you listen
definition
to the
cameras, just
great
looks like it's
border people, Brandon
fake. It looks
Judd
like the background's fake.
from Border
It looks,
Patrol,
everything looks
if you
like green
listen to
screen now.
Paul,
It's so
I mean,
weird.
so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in, and our country cannot sustain it. Our country is going down because of this, because of incompetent people. So I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them, September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing. I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
How have you recalibrated your strategy to compete against terrorists?
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all. It's the same policies, open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. But as the DA, she destroyed San Francisco. A friend of mine, Bob Tisch, all know the Tisch family. He was in
We
many
all know.
cities with
We all know
companies.
that family.
He said the greatest
The
city
Tisch family. We're always talking
in the
about them.
country is San Francisco. That was about 20 years ago. And he passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened? He thought it was the best city in the country.
We're always talking, where's
Divisions
Bob
there,
Tisch?
blows. And he would be looking down in horror now when he sees she destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge. And all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he, appointed by him and appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things, and she should not be in a position. Because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail. It's
going to be a giant fail. WTF.
Yeah, please. No, how about you?
WTF, folks. It's going to be a giant fail. More and more we're hearing it's going to be a giant fail.
You have to speak loud.
Icon has cheeseburger. Remember the memes? Advice animals. We don't have... We used to have advice animals. Under Biden, we got no advice animals. We got no good guy Greg. Good guy Greg has been retired.
Voters, perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters.
No Velociraptor.
I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. No, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately they'll like me better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the facts are right. Yeah, please, in the back.
You're now leading the Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not picking Josh Shapiro as her VP?
Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very
You
popular
can
with
count on
anybody.
me.
I
We're
think
going to have good old
that
Rob
this,
to talk you through all this.
This election
It's a
maybe
white
is better
male summer.
than Josh
Way
Shapiro
up.
would have been. But I think other
Critical
than Josh
mass.
Shapiro, I
Thank
think
you
she
for
had
29 months.
some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had
Who,
a
though?
story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at and her. And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her.
What?
I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential. And
JD Vance is going to get dog walked.
Really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
He's going to get dog walked at that debate. He's going to be humiliated.
Say it.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. 0 chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel.
I think both of those things would have happened.
Withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to.
I think Ukraine and October 7th both would have happened
and we were
under Trump.
Keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed, and we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened.
They're like the Joker.
Inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation because inflation was caused by their bad energy
The face.
problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel. So they said, we better do what Trump. But the day after the election,
They're like Harvey Dent. Our greatest soldiers, they're like Harvey Dent now.
Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which
you don't want to know about the faces.
It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market.
Sean, spacking. You said spacking earlier, by the way.
Gasoline-propelled cars.
Have we forgotten? Have we forgotten about that? Spacking.
And they want electric.
SPAC.
But they want everybody
Sean
to
Mead
have
said
an
that in the
electric
chat
car.
earlier.
We don't have enough electricity.
Crazy.
We couldn't make enough electricity for that. And you know what else? The weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy. So, but on crowd size,
A little digression. Yeah.
for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people. In South Carolina, I had 88,000 people. In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me. But she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, oh, the enthusiasm's back. No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of.
It's like he's
That's where the
bending
enthusiasm-
sometimes, like earth bending. The movements.
Yeah.
From places unknown, like The Undertaker. Parts unknown. More and more immigrants. They're coming. We don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from parts unknown.
I don't know.
We don't know.
If I can or not.
You've
I got
never
him
heard of the
elected.
countries.
Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it. But if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now, in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly
The big red monster,
for
Kane.
some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen. And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, we have honest elections in Pennsylvania, we're going to win them by a lot.
Trump really do be spacking, right, Sean?
Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he's saying. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate. He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all, okay?
Was there a peaceful transfer, Mr. Trump? I'm not sure that that's true. I seem to recall that
What a stupid question this is.
not being peaceful. I think there was a big thing that happened with
Because
that.
I'm leading by a lot, and because I'm letting their convention go through, and I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in
The
certain
best
cases,
commercials.
I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group. We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Congressmen and women get elected. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead. The upcoming what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think that's true,
sure.
Pac-Man. Like, what did Trump do? He had a couple summits,
he
and then
endorsed me
what
full-throated?
happened? Did
Great
Trump stop the
endorsement. I respect
Trump
Elon a
stop
lot.
the
He
military
respects me.
exercises on the DPRK border? Did he do anything to like help reunify Korea? Did he pull back? Did he pull back the U.S. military? What did Trump actually do in DPRK? Nothing. Nothing. He did a couple photo ops. They don't care. Kim Jong-un doesn't care. You didn't do shit.
It's going to be Monday night. I believe he's the host of the show, so it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night. Well, you have a lot of misinformation spread about China, and you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there, as opposed to what we have right now. Right
We're
now
on the
we have
sofa.
you.
President Xi.
Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID. And I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship. But I think we're going to have a great relationship. And I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United States. And that's what they were doing, as you very well know. Yes, please. What's your question? No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly when you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed. Nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people...
That one guy was killed when he was tased in the balls.
Unfairly, and they were there to complain.
We all
not
remember
to
the guy
me.
that was
They were
tased
there
in
to
the balls
complain
until he
about
died.
An election.
That happened.
And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to...
Yeah,
and I
that
said
woman.
peacefully
Yeah,
and
the fucking woman that was
patriotically, which
killed.
nobody wants
What the
to say,
fuck?
but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen Maggie, I was at the mall.
She was
I
literally
at the
shot and
Washington
was killed.
Monument. I was at the whole thing. I had crowds. I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the crowd. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me.
I don't know if
You
that's
look
true.
at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real
Sir.
estate, same everything,
Sir.
same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same
Sir,
picture,
come on.
and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd.
It's
my
funny
crowd,
because it's been
we
8
actually had more
years.
people.
Like, remember when Trump was like, the crowd size stuff, it's been 8, like since he was elected at first, the crowd size thing has been like a needle in his mind. He's never been able to let it go. The crowd size thing. For 8 straight years, he's still talking about it. It really bothers him, for sure.
Yeah, sure. We have a constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it. She has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not
You
complaining
can count
from that
on me.
standpoint.
You're going to have good old Rob to
And
talk you
I
through
hate
all
to be
this.
defending him, but he did
Dr.
not want to
Maggot,
leave.
thanks
He
for the
wanted
gifted
to
sub.
See if he could win. They said, you're not going to win after the debate. They said, you're not going to win. You can't win. You're out. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said At first, they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared.
It sounds like you're complaining a little bit.
We
Yeah.
simply
That
use
was
the
the
computer
first
to mark
out.
up
She was
the
first
size of the
loser.
account.
Okay, so we call
Folks,
her the
my
first
peen.
loser. She was
I
the
mean,
first loser.
my
when,
crowds are
during the primary system,
UGE.
during the Democrat primary system.
Thank you,
She was
Joe,
the
for
first
the
one to
200
quit,
bits.
and she quit. She had no votes, no support, and she was a bad debater, by the way, very bad debater.
Except when you acknowledge she destroyed
That's not the
Biden
thing I'm
in the
looking
debate.
forward to, but she was a bad debater. She did obviously a bad job. She never made it to Iowa. Then
She's
for
a
some
bad debater,
reason,
but I'm a
and
mass
I know
debater.
He regrets it. You do too. He picked her.
She's a bad debater.
and
I'm a mass
she turned
debater.
on him,
That's
too.
the
She was
difference.
working with the people that wanted him out. But the fact that you can get no votes, lose in the primary system, in other words, you had 14 or 15 people, she was the first one out, and that you can then be picked to run for president, it seems to me actually unconstitutional. Perhaps it's not. Please.
I mean, as much truth that the kernel of truth that he's talking about there. I mean, she was the VP though. Like she was the VP pick.
So I've run against Hillary, and I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways, but she was smart, very smart. Okay?
Sometimes he gets it right.
Compare 'em. Please.
I'm underwater with black women for some reason. By the way, this black woman that I'm going to run against is not smart. She's just this stupid woman. And the previous white woman was smart. This
Would
black
you
woman is
repeat
not
that
smart.
question, please? You have
Why
to
do
speak up.
black women not like me? It's
a
weird.
hard
It's crazy.
room because it's very big, if you know. So this is worth $18 million. Oh, I see.
And also she's not black, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And I think it's when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's Democrats,
But you picked a
Republicans, and
VP pick
independents, and everybody.
that thinks it should be illegal
Liberals, conservatives,
nationally.
everybody wanted it back in the states, and I did that.
Your
Now
VP
the
pick
states are
wants a
voting.
national
And frankly,
abortion
some of
ban.
the
Is
votes
it
are
on
much
the
more,
record?
if you could say liberal, than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas, the same thing. And then you have Texas, and you have other places where it may be different. But the issue has been brought back to the states now. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly. I think that that's a very important thing. I think when you have to follow your heart. But when you don't believe in the exceptions, I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue.
Like your VP pick.
But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think,
But not your vice presidential
and a lot
pick
of
that
them
you
are
selected, though.
changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small. I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done is I've done
No, it
what
will
every
not.
Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, you know, when you think about
It has
the
not become
radicals,
less of an issue. That is not
the
accurate.
Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look
After,
at
that's
your
right. They just murder. They just give birth to a
governor
baby,
from
throw it right into the
Minnesota,
grinder.
he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign.
You give
in
birth to a
Virginia,
baby just
Glenn
right
Youngkin.
into the
But previous
right
to
into the
Glenn,
trash.
The governor, he said
Democrats
the baby
want
will
this.
Be born, we will put the baby aside and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby.
Yeah,
The Minnesota gentleman,
absolutely true. Yeah,
this guy.
real American
with that.
patriots. Fact check
He is
this.
the most
True.
liberal-
It's a blender.
Look.
Excuse me, Lodane. I'm sorry.
Between her and him, there's never been anything like this.
You
There's
give the
never
blended
been a
concoction to
combination
migrants.
so I'll use the word progressive. You know, they want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore.
I would like
really.
for them to follow up on.
And
Please
when
just
people
follow up
hear
on the post-birth
what I said in
abortion
the
thing.
debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate. We brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this, assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart, and you should follow your heart. But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you. About who? About the assassination attempt. Yes. Did the fact that somebody used an AR-15 gun at all change your impression of people's access to that weapon? No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually
Number one source of children being killed.
Gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th,
yeah, and they bring in guns from other states where they don't have the laws.
The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago.
They bring them in from Indiana and wherever else.
They had 117 people shot.
Country's fucking filled with guns.
Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen.
Yeah,
when
he would
saw
have.
The incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. You know, if you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months, and then we had the disaster of the lift, where people were falling off airplanes from 3 times the height of the World Trade Center. I mean, terrible. But now our country has to be respected again. Please. Go ahead, please.
There was reporting, I believe, in the New York Times that Kamala Harris said she might be open to the idea of a weapons embargo against Israel. I wonder if you could comment on that. What that means.
I'd be against that. That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look,
I wish it were true.
She's been very, very bad to Israel.
I wish it were true.
To Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish,
I would be thrilled if that was true.
For Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave
because all of the Israel is the only thing that matters.
The capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy.
Who did you give the Golan Heights to? Who did you give the embassy to? Jewish voters in America?
We could have made a deal.
I gave them the Golan Heights. Why are Jewish people voting for the Democratic Party? I gave them the Golan Heights. American Jewish voters. I gave them the Golan Heights.
Fine with Iran. You know, we hit them a couple of times pretty hard, but we would have been fine with Iran. But I terminated that deal. I got them the Abraham Accords. Everyone said that's impossible. I got them the Abraham Accords. She's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad and disrespectful to Jewish people. And any Jewish person that votes for Kamala and her friend, her new friend, who I don't know if she knew him before, but I don't think he's too good. But anybody that votes for them, if you're Jewish or if you love Israel, you have to have your head examined.
Because the only thing that matters to Jewish people is Israel, and that's it. That's not anti-Semitic. Isn't that like a dual loyalty?
Me about the shooter.
A dual loyalty trope, I think they call that.
And I think they did a very good job with respect to this other lunatic that they have in custody. Please. Yeah. Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point. Yeah, I do. Go ahead. On what? Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
Mr. President, your tax cuts from your administration will be coming up fairly soon and potentially expiring. I wanted to ask you specifically about the tax code favoring parents versus people who don't have children. There are a number of tax breaks.
Yeah. Oh, we gave tremendous for child care and all of that. No, our tax cuts, which are the biggest in history, our tax cuts are coming due, as you know, very soon. And if the Democrats don't renew them or make it impossible to renew because it's pretty close in terms of vote, if they don't renew them, it's the equivalent of having a 4 times tax increase from what you have right now, and it'll destroy the economy. I think they're under tremendous pressure to do it. I've never seen, all my life I grow up and I watch politics. And
Democrats are actually the accelerationists.
Then I run for office. But in all the years of studying
they're
politics,
going to just destroy the economy.
People get elected by saying, we're going to give you a tax increase. These guys get up. Think of it. We're going to give you no security. We're going to give you a weak military. We're going to give you no walls, no borders, no anything. All these things they're doing. I mean, the transgender became such a big thing. But they do all of these things.
The transgender.
They always say, we're going to give you a tax increase. I never heard anybody campaign on a tax increase. A politician has always said, I will cut
Democrats
taxes.
just run on transgender and open borders.
Social Security.
Okay, sounds good.
They're going to destroy Social Security. I am going to leave Social Security. I'm not raising the years. I'm not raising the age.
They're doing the transgender.
I will be saving Social Security, and I'm going to work it out that there's no tax on Social Security for seniors. I'm also doing no tax
the transgender
on tips.
tax increase.
No tax
That's right.
on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars,
caddies,
people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sure. Because other people have done far bigger things than Steve Bannon. Sure, it's politically motivated. I think it's a horrible thing they did. Look, they've weaponized government against me. Look at the Florida case. It was a totally weaponized case. All of these cases, by the way, the New York cases are totally controlled out of the Department of Justice. They sent their top person to the various places. They went to the AG's office, got that one going. Then he went to the DA's office, got that one going, ran through it. No, this is all politics, and it's a disgrace. Never happened in this country. It's very common that it happens, but not in our country. It happens in banana republics and third world countries, and that's what we're becoming. We have no borders. We have bad voting regulations. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have problems. France learned that lesson. France had all mail-in voting, and they went back to paper ballots, voter identification, voter ID. They went back to a normal system, one-day voting. They don't want to be around, voting for 64 days. And look, the election, I keep talking about November 5th, but the election really starts on September 6th. That's when it starts because it's early voting. We should have one-day voting. We should have paper ballots, we should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship. Please.
Mail in is
the
paper
gentleman
ballots. Why can you mail in your taxes, but it's just impossible to mail in a ballot and verify your identity? You mail in
gonna
your
have to talk louder,
taxes.
sir.
You send them through the mail. Your taxes. Why can't you mail in a ballot for an election? Why is it impossible to verify someone's identity
Elon is
with
a
a
very
with
different
a
kind of a guy.
mail-in ballot?
He's a
But you can
very
mail
big
all kinds of
believer in the
stuff,
country,
personal
but
stuff.
He's very worried about the country. He's very worried about the country. And I don't know if it's good for him politically to have supported me, although I think we have a vast majority of this country does support me. But
Is it a
Elon,
vast
more
majority,
than
sir?
Almost anybody I know. I mean, he loves this country. He loves the concept of the country. But like me, he says this country is in big trouble. It's in
He's a
tremendous
foreigner.
danger.
Elon Musk's a
Okay,
foreigner.
please.
Get him out of here. Lock him up.
I like this guy. I like him.
He is South African, sir.
The polls have suggested. There are some polls that say we're going to win in a landslide. People
They
are
were
voting
saying
with
that.
their stomachs, meaning they're going to the grocery store. They're paying 50, 60, 70% more for food than they did just a couple of years ago. Look at what's happened to energy. Look at what's happened not only to their cars, where gasoline's gone from $1.87, and we had moments when it was below that, but it's gone from $1.87 to $5, $6, and $7. And they take the strategic national reserves and they take it out, even though it's peanuts compared, it doesn't last long. But they're virtually empty now. We've never had it this low. And he's using that to keep the gasoline prices as low as possible. He's sucked all of the oil out, essentially the gasoline, to keep the price down a little bit, and it's had very little impact. But you know what? We have no strategic national reserves now. He's emptied it. It's almost empty.
He's
It's
sucked it
never
out
been
and
this
emptied
low.
it. He's
And I
emptied
had
the
it at a
balls
good
of
level, and I
America's
would have had
oil
it more if
reserves.
The Democrats would have approved the deal.
He's
You know, I had
sucked
a
out
deal
every
to
last
buy
drop
it
and
at
emptied the balls
$22
of
a barrel.
America's oil
now
reserves,
it's
folks.
It's going to be close to 100 pretty soon, my opinion. And the Democrats didn't want to do that, but we bought a lot anyway. And we had it pretty good. And what they've done to the national reserves, the strategic national reserves, is, as you know very well, because you cover it, but what they've done is incredible. They've just, for the sake of getting some votes.
Oh, for sure, Lodan. I don't doubt
For the sake
it.
of having gasoline. You know, that's meant for wars. It's meant for, like, tragedy. It's not meant to keep a gasoline price down.
Oil is
so that
stored in the
somebody can
government's
vote for
balls. We all know this.
Biden,
That's science.
Or in this case, Kamala, who, by the way, is worse than Biden. And she's actually not as smart. Okay? She's actually not as smart. That's
She keeps
hard
trying
believe, isn't
to
it?
she keeps trying to appeal to
please.
Biden. He so wants Biden to come back.
Okay?
There are other things the federal government can do, not just a ban. Would you direct your FDA, for example, to revoke access to mifepristone? That's one of the things.
Sure, you could do things that would supplement, absolutely. And those things are pretty open and humane. But you have to be able to have a vote. And all I want to do is give everybody a vote. And the votes are taking place right now as we speak. Yeah.
Living
But
under
it's a
Biden
very
has been
good-
like paying
there
for
are
college
many
again, only
things
this
on a
time there's no
humane basis
financial
that you
aid.
can do
I guess my
outside of
thing
that.
is like if Trump was going to talk about like grocery prices and inflation, obviously that's a really serious problem. What's Trump going to do about the grocery cartels? Is he going to go and tell them to lower their prices? If so, I think he should say that. Like if so, that would be something that we could then talk about. What's Trump actually going to do about inflation? Because right now his plan for inflation is just like elect me and it's going to just magically going down. Inflation is just going to go away under me. What are you going to do? Inflation is not some scientific principle. There's grocery cartels raising the prices of all their products so they make more money. Is Donald Trump going to go in and talk to these fucking grocery companies and corporations and say, lower your prices? Because if he's not, he's full of shit. It's not to say that Biden is good on these issues or that Biden has done that. Obviously not.
But they did it together. And she was early.
But this whole thing of hitting them on inflation with no actual like plan or thought to explain like what they're actually going to do to like solve that problem.
She was early.
No, it's only caused by electric cars and inflationary spending like welfare, social security, unemployment, education, healthcare, that kind of stuff. That's what causes inflation. Disability. Not the companies raising the prices so they make more money.
Do you hear her?
He wants to ban the electric cars, but Elon's giving him billions of dollars.
A daily press briefing? Why would I do that? I would give you all the press briefings you want. Look what I'm doing here. But why would I do a daily press? You'd get tired of me very fast. No, but I will give you total access, and you'll have a lot of press briefings, and you'll have from me. Now, are you talking about from me or from a press secretary? Well, yeah, probably they'll do something. If it's not daily, it's going to be a lot. You'll have more than you want. Yeah, please. I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. You know, with Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please.
Did you say just relax? I don't know if you did say that.
I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files. And don't forget, she got a subpoena from the United States Congress. And then, after getting the subpoena, she destroyed everything that she was supposed to get.
Weasley fucking liar, dude.
I thought it was so bad to take her and put her in jail, the wife of a president of the United States, and then when it's my turn, nobody thinks that way. I thought it was a very terrible thing. And she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country. And a lot of my people, a lot of the MAGA, as they call them, but the base. And I think the base is 75% of the country, far beyond the Republican Party, because we're a party of common sense, and I'm a person of common sense.
That's
I want to
cap,
have low
brother.
taxes. I want to have strong borders. I want to have a strong military so that China and Russia, look, they've allowed China
all the shit about the weak military. The military budget has gone up under Biden. It's gone up. How is it weak?
They always have been, because China
it is weak because of the disgusting American government is a paper tiger.
And because of Obama,
they haven't defunded the military. They've spent more money on the military. It's like $1 trillion every year, practically.
He didn't know what the hell he was doing. They've now become one force, and then now they're adding Iran to it, and they're adding North Korea to it. Pretty powerful force. This is something that is unthinkable that they allowed to happen.
Other countries are not allowed to make bilateral agreements with one another. They're not allowed.
Oh, it's going to end. The honeymoon period's going to end. Look, she's got a little period. She's got a convention coming up. It's about policy. It's not about her. I think she's incompetent because I've watched her. She destroyed California. She destroyed San Francisco. Everything she's touched has turned to bad things. I'm not going to use foul language.
And California does still have one of the top economies in the world, doesn't it?
She's incompetent.
Not to say that there's not problems in California. All the problems are related to capitalism and fucking housing and all this shit that they don't do anything about.
Because she can't do better than Biden. Now, he had a reason for not doing well, and he was never 25 years ago.
I think California technically is still doing quite well, though, if you're by using the metrics that they use to determine these things.
But he could do interviews at least. Not lately, he couldn't, perhaps. But she should be doing interviews. She doesn't want to do interviews. And the reason she doesn't is, number one, her policies are so bad. Just to answer your question, I think that it's not going to change because it's really ultimately not about her as much as about her policies. She wants open borders. She wants to defund the police.
They say this shit every time.
She wants to take away your guns.
They say this shit every time. I just don't think anyone buys this.
You know, when I was president,
I don't think anyone believes this shit.
The guns. And I think it's very important. And I know I take some heat sometimes for it.
Even from people that try to shoot you.
You have to have, when the bad
Even
guy
take
walks
heat
in
from
with a
people
gun,
that
you
shoot
gotta have
you.
some way of protecting yourself. And boy, that would be, you would see crime go up at levels that you've never seen. When people say on the side of the house, this house has guns, we will use the guns, they say, let's pass. We'll go someplace else.
I don't think that is what
You
happens.
have to have them. And for 4 years, and as you know, the NRA endorsed me very powerfully every time I ran, every time. My sons are members, and I guess indirectly I'm a member too. But they gave me the strongest of endorsements, and that's against very strong competition. People that felt the same way.
Reach in your gun
Now, you
drawer,
have to
bam, your
have,
gun's not there. It's an
You
immigrant.
have to have that
That's
right. Our Second Amendment is a very important right, and it has to be protected. Okay, how about you? Go ahead.
Also earlier, Sean, you said SPAC earlier on in the stream.
Yeah. So there are some of the most brilliant people on Wall Street that are saying that if President Trump doesn't win, you're going to have a depression. I happen to agree. I think that's true.
You're going to vote Democrat as the
Because they know
accelerationist option.
How bad these people are. They like to say that they did this and that. You saw
Vote
the 7
Democrat to
trillion that
hasten
they
the
said
demise of the United
it was
Snakes
me
of
for
America,
7 trillion.
caca.
It wasn't me.
It's grotesque
It was them.
culture.
They said that I had inflation. They took over 9% inflation. No, I had 1% inflation. I had actually no inflation because if you look at the
So
categories.
did you have 1% or did you have
Just
none?
about no inflation, but I had a very.
Did you have
minor,
1% or
I actually
did you
had a
have none?
Positive inflation. It was a
Positive
perfect
inflation
number.
now. It was a
'Cause you don't
perfect
want
number
zero.
of
I mean,
inflation.
I'm not going to give you a whole course on economics, but
You don't want zero? I think you do.
1%, 1.4%.
I think you actually do want
is
zero.
great. You want a little bit because
Just
you
have-
don't want to have deflation. Deflation is in many ways even worse.
I think you do need to have deflation,
I had
actually.
a perfect number right around the 1%.
It was the
number.
perfect
It
amount
was
of inflation.
perfect. And to show you, it stayed there for 2
I think
years.
you should have deflation.
And then he did all of the different borrowings that he did. And then he did so many things wrong. Every time he would do it, I'd say,
The different borrowings.
big mistake. And don't forget, they sell hats and they sell stories. Trump was right about everything.
The
I've
different
been right about a lot.
borrowings
Yes, Maggie.
is what Biden did to cause the inflation. That's it. That's what happens. It's not companies raising their prices. Biden just did the different borrowings.
Well, we had a
Deflation,
commission,
wasn't that
like
what happens
other
when you're with
people
Stormy
do, and
Daniels?
it's always complicated and it's always
Oh my
controversial.
gosh.
And we had commissions that, and I think of respected people, many of the people on the commission, and they would recommend to me certain pardons for certain people. Some people were treated very harshly. A fantastic woman, as you know, she served 24 years for being on a phone call having to do with drugs. You know who I'm talking about. She was great. And she had another 24 years to go. And it was largely about marijuana, which in many cases is now legalized, okay? But we had many very highly regarded people on a commission, and they'd recommend, and they'd put a reason why. Some people were, served time, but they served a lot of time for something that today people wouldn't even serve time by.
It did seem like it got a little haircut.
Well, for the most part, I think they did. I mean, they did. They go through. They went through. I had a commission. It was a very important commission to me, and highly respected people. And frankly, they came up with some decisions that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but I did it. But I let a lot of people out that had no representation. I went to people in jails, in prison that we respected. I said, how many of these people should be let out? We let out large groups of low-income people that were serving like 40 years for something that today you wouldn't even be put in jail for. We had very few people let out because I said I really don't want to let people out where they had a lot
So
of
is letting
violence,
out
where
these
they had
criminals
killing,
good or
et cetera, et
bad?
cetera.
It seems
For
like
the
in
most
some
part, we
cases
do
it's
that.
good, but
Yeah,
then other
please.
cases it's bad. When I do it, it's good, and when other people do it, it's not good. Letting people out of jail. Also convicted murderers, convicted war criminals, actually. Like not even murderers. Convicted child-killing war criminals Trump let out of prison. Those
Right.
are people
Well,
that actually I
look,
think should still
the
be in
Federal
prison.
Reserve is a very interesting thing, and it's sort of gotten it wrong a lot. And he's tending to be a little bit late on things. He gets a little bit too early and a little bit too late. And, that's very largely it's a gut feeling. I believe it's really a gut feeling. And I used to have it out with him. I had it out with him a couple of times very strongly. I fought him very hard. And we get along fine. We get along fine. But I feel that the president should have at least say in there. Yeah, I feel that strongly. I think that in my case, I made a lot of money. I was very successful, and I think I have a better instinct than, in many cases, people that would be on the Federal Reserve or the chairman. Yeah.
People going to prison for marijuana.
Yeah.
Harris supports rescheduling marijuana and also says that no one should go to prison for marijuana.
I'll never understand people who believe this guy is like a mix of
Well, as we
sleazy salesman
legalize
and a
it,
kid that
I
lies about
start
everything to
agree a
try and
lot
make
more
friends.
Because it's being legalized all over the country. Florida has something coming up. I'll be making a statement about that fairly soon. But as we legalize it throughout the country, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's awfully hard to have people all over the jails that are in jail right now for something that's legal. So I think obviously there's a lot of sentiment to doing that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris's father is Jamaican American, and she went to a historically black college. How is she only recently deciding to be black?
Well, you'll have to ask her that question because she's the one that said it. I didn't say it. So you'll have to ask her, and I very much appreciate that question, but you'll have to ask her. But I've known her for a long time. I actually contributed to her campaign a long time ago because I was a developer. I contributed to lots of campaigns of Democrats, Republicans, and some were liberal and some were conservative. But you'll have to ask her about that. But to me, it doesn't matter. But to her, from her standpoint, I think it's very disrespectful.
So you contributed to the campaign of someone that then destroyed America, destroyed California.
Disrespectful to me, it doesn't matter. Please, red dress.
One in the assassination, is your ear fully recovered? Is there a scar? Do you have any
Yeah,
damage?
pretty much recovered. Yeah, I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that.
It didn't happen.
I got very lucky.
Fake news.
It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
The lube. It didn't
Yeah,
happen.
A little bit, not much.
Did not happen.
On top. A little bit.
An immigration question. You've been running on the idea of mass deportation. You say the biggest in American history is basically what
Yeah.
When Senator Vance has been asked about that, he sort of suggested that really you only need to go after people who've been convicted of crime.
Well, we're starting that, yeah.
So what are you really talking about here? How will you pay for it?
We are going to start the largest mass deportation in the history of our country because we have no choice. It's not sustainable. And we are going to start with violent criminals, and we're going to start then with criminals. And our local police is going to work with us because they know everything about the people. They know their names. They know everything about them. They know their middle name. They know their numbers. And as you know, the other side is trying. Look, for years I wondered, why are they allowing these people to come in at levels like this? It was incredible. And I said two reasons. They're either really stupid, and I don't believe they're stupid, because anybody that can cheat on elections like they cheat is not stupid. Or, in the alternative, they have bad motives or they hate our country. And I used to think they hate our country. But lately I've seen where they're trying to sign these people up to vote. And they have to stop. They cannot let illegal immigrants vote in this upcoming election. All right, one more question. Go ahead, one more. Make it a good one, please.
Okay, regarding Social Security taxes for seniors.
Right.
We talked about experts say that the policy could increase the deficit by $1.6 trillion. So how would it work for you?
We have so many ways of making money in this country. We're not going to affect our Social Security. We're not changing it. And I proved that over 4 years. And we're going to do it. It's very unfair to people. They spend their life and they're great citizens and they pay in.
I don't know.
We're
We
not
can't
going
watch too much
to
more of this.
charge
Like,
tax
I got other
to
stuff to do.
our
This is
Social
like so
Security
fucking
seniors.
long.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to charge. And also tax. I say the two things. We're going to have no tax on seniors, Social Security, and we're going to have no tax on tips. Very simple. And we are a country that has so many different ways to make money. We have under our feet more liquid gold, I call it oil, and gas, than any country in the world, much more than Saudi Arabia, much more than Russia. We have so many different ways we can make money. We're not going to hurt our seniors with Social Security, and we're not going to charge them tax. Okay?
Black gold. It's like he just made that up just now.
we should not have sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities is a way of protecting criminals, and we should not have sanctuary cities. And if you go to California, and I know it well, I have property out there, great property. If you go to California and you ask the people of California, do they like the idea of sanctuary cities? They don't like it. They're tired of it. They're tired of crime. They're tired of what's happened to our country. Our country's become a crime-ridden mess, and we're going to stop it on November 5th. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, that was... Who's clapping? Who's clapping? Are you clapping? That was a fantastic job, sir. I'm going Texas Tea. You're welcome, sir. Completely original. Thank you, one who reads. That's terrific. It's terrific. Tremendous. Just made that up just now. Very cool. So listen, I have about another half an hour with the stream. I want to talk about Kamala, and now that we've done this whole Trump presser, which was like kind of fun to watch and riff about. There was a lot of silliness. A lot of silliness was said over the last hour or so that just took place. Whatever that was, it was fun to talk about it and joke around about it. I would like to get to this thing with Kamala and how she was interrupted with these protesters last night. Folks, 2 hours and 37 minutes into the stream today. Really no calls to action so far. We've been a lot of discourse, a lot of talking. Watching this press conference. 6 out of 35 subs for the day. The 35 subs is obviously the daily sub goal, as I'm sure you know. We all remember what the daily sub goal is, 35. 6 out of 35 subs to go. If you do enjoy this program, folks, if you enjoy the commentary and the analysis and the chatting and the discourse and the humor and the analysis, did I say that one? I don't remember.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old
I don't
Rob
remember, but if you do enjoy that show, if you do enjoy this show, folks, please subscribe if you can. Help me make the little number at the bottom of the screen go up. You know, every single day that I do this stream, the little number has to go up. It's kind of just the way this whole thing works. It's what keeps the machine running. It's what makes it possible for me to continue to do this stream each and every day, this stream that you love, this community that you love.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob.
So if you can, please subscribe. Crystal, thank you for the gifted sub, and thank you, Diego, as well, for another gifted sub. I appreciate that very much. Subscribe if you can, folks. Help me make the little number go up. You can join the Friendship Triangle community. You can, by gifting a subscription or subscribing, you're in the base level. You can move up and down through the triangle, the different tiered reward systems. You've got, of course, the base level, and if you gift 5 subscriptions or above, you find yourself all the way at the tippy top of the elite tier of the Friendship Triangle. Very, very exciting. So if you can, folks, please subscribe. Gift subs. You can help out any way you can. It's the only way that I'm able to do this program each and every day. It's the only way that I can come on here to twitch.tv and we can have these conversations, and we can be entertained, and we can enjoy each other's company, and we can chat and analyze and all the things that we love to do on this program. But the only way that this is able to happen is if people subscribe to TRRS. So please, if you can, subscribe. Help me keep the show on the air. Help me make the little number go up. Help support the work that I do here on Twitch. Now 8 out of 35 subs. We're making some big progress here. We're making big progress. We got 27 to go to get to the goal, which is really, when you think about it, it's barely anything. It's really barely anything, and I'm sure they're all going to be flowing in any moment now. Any moment now, these subs are going to flow in. Obviously, we got probably some kind of clogged pipes situation happening right now. Subscribe now, or Rob will go to the depanneur to get cigarettes and we'll never come back. Is that what you want? I think more people need to ask themselves this question. Is that what you want? Do you want me on here? Folks, I don't have to be here. Believe me, if you don't want me on here, I don't have to be here. Believe me. Believe me. If I'm not wanted here on this program, no, it's no problem with me. All right? It's no sweat off my back. If I'm not wanted on this platform, I will leave.
Talk you through all this.
I will get going. Don't worry about it. I can get you a tow. I can get you a tow by 4 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish. Max, thank you for the 2 gifted subs. Very kind of you. Thank you, Max.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Pipes at my apartment are literally clogged and drains overflowing RN but go off.
Bonsai, thanks for the 31 months of tier 1. Thank you, Bonsai. I'm sorry about your clogged pipes. I'm sorry. And we do have a hype train coming now, folks. Another sub or another couple gifted subs is going to get that hype train out of the station. And I really do. I have a limited amount of time here to work with, and I would really like to get to the rest of this kind of discourse and talk about Kamala Harris and her rally the other day, last night. I would love to get to that. Should I threaten to leave more? It seemed like that was effective. That was an effective tactic. I can do that. I can threaten to leave. Is that what you want, Chad? You want me to go away? That's what I'm hearing. No, it's fine.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
No, it's fine. It's fine if that's what you want. You know, the heart wants what the heart wants. That's how the saying goes, isn't it? And if in your heart you don't want me to be here anymore, well, please don't subscribe.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Choo choo chuga 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 choo choo.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thanks, Lodane, for the 200 bits. That's very kind of you, Lodane, and thank you also to Mediated Self for the 100 bits.
We simply
thank you,
use the
Anon,
computer
for the
to mark
sub.
up the size of the account.
Thank you, Bleep Lord, for the 100 bits. I'm sorry, Bleep Lord, but that was under the TTS threshold. I'm sorry. We're 56% of the way through this level 2 hype train, folks. We got 23 to go. We got 23 subs to go. If you can, I was primed. I was going to do the action again and everything. I was ready for it. I can go. Chet. Believe me. I can go. If you don't want me here, no problem. No problem. I will leave. Okay? And you'll never have to see me again. You'll never have to hear the calls to action, the imploring you to subscribe, all this stuff. You'll never have to hear it again. I'll just leave. Dude, I sound like my mother. I'm so sorry, Lodane. I'm so sorry if that was triggering to you somehow. Let's just go get something to eat, Rob. There's a great banh mi place around the block. I don't eat enough banh mi. I really don't. I really need to eat more banh mi. Bleep Lord, thanks for the 420.
Use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Choo choo chuga 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 choo.
Dr. Maggot, thanks for the 200 bits as well. Thank you for that. That was fun. That was exciting. Folks, we're 64% of the way through level 2 of this hype train. Please do subscribe. Help me get this hype train going. And we also get emotes. Don't you like emotes? Not only can you subscribe and get the emotes to this channel, and there's some great, we've got the best emotes. Some of the very best emotes. Doing the guilt-tripping East Coast Jewish parent routine, yeah. And also, chat, you look very cold.
We simply use the
You look
computer
cold.
to
Why
mark
eat
up
something?
the size of the
I'm
account.
going to tell you to eat something, but when you do eat, I'm going to be like, you look very overweight.
Chuga chugi chugga 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 shrugga chugga shrugga chugga shrugga choo choo.
Joe, thank you for the 200 bits.
You can count on me. You're gonna have
And
a good
thank you,
old
Dr.
Rob
Maggot, for the
to
gifted
talk you
sub.
through all this.
I'm going to tell you to eat something. Chat, eat something. Eat something, please. Here, just take this. Eat it. Please eat something. And then you eat it, and it's like, well, you need to go to the gym. You need to hit the gym. You're looking a little... You watching your weight? I'm going to do that. That's one of the components of that as well. And I don't think that's a Jewish cultural thing. I think that's a very Italian coded thing as well, isn't it? It seems like there's a lot of crossover in the stereotypes about the parents. And it's a waspy thing as well. I think this is just a lot of parents are just like this from all kinds of different cultures. My dad's wife would do that shit and my mom would do the guilt tripping. Ouch, she got it from both angles.
We simply use the computer to mark up
You got it from both
the size of
angles.
the account.
I think I can choo choo.
Lodane, thank you for another 200 bits. That's very nice of you, Lodane. I appreciate it. And folks, only 22 subs away from the goal. We're now on level 3 of this hype train, and I would like to be able to talk about the thing that I came here to talk about today as well. I would really love to do that. Everyone loves to pretend that universal parental things are actually culturally specific. I think if I were to talk about... my mom didn't do any of that stuff, the guilt tripping, the food stuff. My mom didn't do anything about that. I think what... Yeah, and listen, my mom is wonderful. My mom is like my favorite person. I love my mother very much, okay? Just so that's clear, in case she's watching right now. Sometimes she tunes in. And if Mom, you're watching right now, I love you very much, okay? The thing from my mom's culture that I have unfortunately absorbed into myself is just the taking all your problems, rather than like guilt tripping or like doing that, it's taking all the things that bother you and all the things that are causing you pain and anxiety and just taking it and not talking about it and just going, just shoving it right down to the pit of your stomach. Just shoving it right down to the pit of your stomach. That's my thing. That's my thing that I've taken on. Unfortunately, I'm trying to be better about this. It's actually, like, all joking aside, has caused me some major problems in my life to act this way. So it is actually something that I'm trying to be better at communicating, and when something's bothering you, saying, this is bothering me. Hey, what you did there that one time, that really bothered me for this reason. It turns out when you do that, it's actually like kind of helpful. This is something I've had to learn recently. When you're like, I'm not happy. I'm not really doing well right now. I remember hearing this story about my granny, and my granny was like getting older, and she had all kinds of, like anyone that gets super old, like she had health problems. She was in pain all the time. She was having all these kinds of issues, and my mom brought her to the doctor, and she's like in pain. My granny's a sweet old lady, and she's like in real pain, like having all these real problems. And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, how are you doing? What's wrong? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. And it's like, you're really not. You're not fine. You're not fine. It's the doctor. You're at it's the actual doctor. You have to tell them that there's something wrong. That's the only way that they can help you. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine, thank you. No. No. I complain a lot, but realizing just how much I've been masking to appease others has been pretty humbling. Oh yeah, Sean, here's the thing about me, Sean, as well, the people-pleasing thing. That's been a big revelation for me as well. And you think you're being like Mr. Magnanimous by people-pleasing and bending over backwards, and when something's bothering you, you ignore it, and I'm going to do everything so everyone is like, oh, so you're not happy and you're not mad at me or whatever. And that's actually toxic. Like, that's actually shitty behavior. And then you just silently resent. You silently resent because like you're like ignoring all your needs and you're not articulating them to people and they don't fucking get it. And then you blame them for not getting it. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you say anything about it? You know, it's shitty behavior. And you try to, you present yourself like you're some selfless person. It's actually very selfish. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting into this like self-help segment. Why didn't you read my mind? Why didn't you read my mind to understand that I was upset about something? Like, that's not good. It's not good to act that way. I shouldn't have to say anything is my sister's mantra. Yeah, no, we can't do this. If something's bothering you, and please folks, 44% of the way left through this hype train, 22, and it would really be, chat, it hurts my feelings, and it makes me feel upset when people don't subscribe to the program. And I don't like it. But it's true. It's true, right? You have to say.
You
have
can
to
count
say,
on me.
say
You're
to
gonna have
people,
good old Rob to
I'm
talk
not
you
happy.
through all this.
I'm not doing well. It's okay. It won't be the end of the world. The world won't split down the middle and crack, and all humanity won't be sucked into a giant chasm into the earth. If you just say, it bothered me when you did this. It hurt my feelings when you did this. You know? If you say, I'm not doing well for this reason and this reason. It's crossing my boundaries when you don't subscribe to Rob Rousseau. Thank you. And Duke Vulture, thanks for the gifted sub as well. It's really important. And honestly, I'm really trying. Like, I'm 42 and I'm not. I'm 41. I'm 41. I'm really trying now, like now that I'm 41, to like not do this because it's shitty behavior. It's actively like harmful behavior. It's learned behavior that's hard to undo, but as an adult, you have to try. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like, you just have to say. You have to say the thing. Say the thing that's bothering you, even if it's going to upset somebody. You know? You just have to do it. Hilariously, we're both spectrum kids, but I'm more obvious and I literally have nonverbal learning disorder, which is what it's called when you can't read social cues, since you just mentioned it. So no, you gotta say it. You gotta say it, Lodane. You gotta say it. Can you just do it for me, though? I'm not saying that it's easy, Old Dutch. Believe me. I'm not saying that it's easy. I still find it hard. And I'm just barely starting to sort of be better about this. I'm not doing well. I am not happy. This thing that you did the other day bothers me. Yeah, I would say that that's similar, Ames, when it comes to Stalin as well. We don't go to the moon, I mean therapy, because it's easy. We do it because it's hard. I'm not in therapy anymore. I probably should be, but this is all I have now for that. This is all I have. I was taught that like complaining about how you feel falls under if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, yeah, because people like they conflate just saying like your action or something that you did hurt me and bothered me with like being mean. It's not mean. It's not mean to like be honest with someone. It's actually important to be honest with someone, especially someone that you're close with, someone in your family, your parents, your sister, your partner. Whoever. being honest is actually good, and withholding everything because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings is not good and actively harmful. And no one has learned this lesson more than me, believe it. Believe me. Still working on that one, honestly. I don't know how we got into this, like, discourse. God, it's getting kind of heavy on here. Getting a little heavy. Anyway, folks, the hype train is over. Still 21 subs to go. Do we have any other brave heroes that want to subscribe to this program? Before we move on, I want to, like, we got about another 15, 20 minutes, and I just wanted to get into the discourse that we wanted to get into today. Are there any other brave heroes? Surely we can do better than 14 subs. I'm positive that we can. I'm certain. Everyone got their own opinion. Holding it back hurts so bad. Jumping out of my flesh, and I say, ah, yeah. Any heroes want to gift a sub? Look, we got Baldwin's Ghost here, subless. Subless. A long-time community member, Baldwin's Ghost, is here, subless, chat, and you're allowing that to happen. We're allowing Baldwin's Ghost, of all people, to be here, subless, with no emotes, outside the illumination of the friendship triangle. Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down cloud tiered reward system. The only one.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Husker, thanks for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. And I appreciate you, Husker. Thank you. And now only 20 subs away, so I know the one chatter that's been holding off, ready to drop the 20 sub gift with the very special alert. Now the table is set. The chatters have thrown the ball up like Sidney Dean in The End of White Man Can't Jump, and there's a brave hero chatter right now that can beat Billy Hoyle and slam it home. And slam it home with the 20 gift sub alert to get to the goal, and to play the really cool alert that happens with that. The opportunity is there. The question is, to the chatter that needs to hear this right now, will you take it? Will you take the opportunity when it's presented to you like this? It's not often in life that we get these kind of opportunities. It's not often. Sometimes an opportunity comes along for you to be a hero. Just for one day. And that opportunity is right now. One shot. One opportunity, one moment. Will you capture it or just let it slip? I need a hero. Hero. And they say that a hero can save us. Not gonna stand here and wait. Do you want me to sing like this and embarrass myself and just like alienate everybody? Is this what it's gonna come to? Like, this is so bad. Yes, says chat. Yes, please, absolutely. I'm sitting here singing songs by Saliva. Saliva and Chad Kroger. How do you start a band and call it Saliva? Really? Come on. Butthole Surfers was also irritating. I was never really a fan, but I know they do have some fans. 90s, early 2000s edginess. I guess that's what it was. Oh, also, one interesting thing as well that I just remembered is that earlier in this stream, chatter Sean Meat said SPAC. Remember that? Remember when that happened? Crazy. What was that all about? SPAC. Sean, if anyone has earned the right to mock people, if there's anyone that's earned the right to mock chatters for little flubs, typos and flubs, if anyone has the right, first of all, I have the right just be in this because I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now. Number one, first and foremost. But if there's anyone that's ever had the right to mock people for their verbal flubs and typos, it's me, the world's most persecuted person. The world's most persecuted person. Me. Okay, well, folks, 20 subs to go. The opportunity is there.
He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and
the opportunity is there for someone that wants to step up and be a real hero.
You know what? If you want
I'm still not quite dug out of the hole.
Say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
That I got in from leaving to go on vacation. And I am also a gamer. That's true. I am a gamer. So we've talked a lot about like Kamala Harris and like the new tone, and won't she have a better tone on Gaza? I mean, will she be better than Biden on Gaza, which is like the lowest of low bars, the absolute lowest of low bars to be better than Joe Biden on Gaza. And we've heard a lot of talk about the new empathetic tone. And she's in Detroit, Michigan, which has one of, if not the most largest concentration of Arab voters. This is where the uncommitted campaign was organized, in Michigan, a state that the Democrats desperately need to win. Yeah, she did this in Michigan, Joe. In Michigan. And listen, she did some damage control after this as well. Here's the thing, as I keep saying, if like the Democratic Party have been responsible for like a lot of really horrifying policies over the years. When you're sponsoring and funding a genocide where children have been murdered by the tens of thousands, and all the horrifying images that we have seen over the last 10 months, it doesn't, your tone doesn't mean shit. Okay? People are going to go and protest. They're going to go interrupt your speeches. And it's going to happen as long as you're funding this. If you don't want people to keep interrupting your protests, Palestinian supporters, stop funding Israel. Anything less than that is not going to do it. That's the reality. Boo fucking who. I don't care. I don't care about the complaining. I don't want to hear about it. So you can meet with whatever groups you want to meet. You can do the see you, hear you bullshit that Democrats and liberals love to do in these moments. If you're still sponsoring this genocide, you're still funding it, and cutting off the arms to Israel is not on the table, well, this is what's going to fucking happen, no matter what tone you're trying to take. Here's the moment where Kamala's speech was interrupted by Palestine protesters.
He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
And they're all clapping. And there's like all these fucking the head tilts, and they're all like analyzing the facial expressions. Oh, yes, queen. Yes, queen. These aren't people that want, I mean, even though these are all legitimate reasons, healthcare and like, you know, these like economic factors, there's all kinds of reasons people might protest climate stuff, but this is not one of these issues. This is a genocide that has claimed the lives of tens of thousands of people, possibly the hundreds of thousands of people. We don't even fucking know anymore. But this is not just some like political hot button issue. This is the Joe Biden administration has supported this. And as long as it's ongoing and there's no signal that there's going to be an actual shift in the policy, this is what's going to happen. And you have all these fucking losers celebrating this. Oh, look at her, the girl boss. She's doing the Yas Queen girl boss. She did like a head tilt and an eyebrow raise to these like whining babies that want the Democratic Party to stop funding Israel so they can continue to drop bombs on little children. She put those whining protesters in their place. And all this shit, if you want Donald Trump to win, keep saying it. In what way would Donald Trump is going to be different? What would be different? What is going to be different about Donald Trump on this issue? There's a lot of issues where there is a difference. I'll be the first person to own up to that. What's the difference, though? What's going to be different about a Donald Trump presidency? And look at the little smug smile, too. Like she's so satisfied with herself. Absolutely sickening. It's honestly fucking sickening. And that's what I mean. As long as like there's no rhetoric, there's no like tone or whatever that's going to change people's minds about this. If they're still sending the weapons, that's the ask. Stop sending weapons. Stop sending weapons to Israel. That's the ask. And if that's not happening, well, this is going to continue then. This is going to continue. I don't care. We don't care. I think there's one from the protesters' perspective as well. And look at all the people in the crowd.
Free Palestine! Kamala, Kamala, you can't hide! We will vote for genocide!
Look at all the people in the crowd.
Kamala, you can't hide! We will vote for genocide!
We won't vote for genocide. Look at these whiners and complainers. And looking, I'm seeing a lot of shit like this. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of comments like this about this. Like this is just one commenter, but you're seeing all kinds of this kind of stuff. Okay, this clip probably intentionally leaves out context that this was the second time she was interrupted. The first time she said, "Everyone's voice matters, but I'm speaking right now. Oh, I'm so sorry. That really just changes everything." That's that new empathetic tone that she was talking about. The first time she said, "Everyone's voice matters, but I'm speaking. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we left out that context." Like, that really just changes everything, doesn't it? They tried to do some damage control. Let me see if I can find the post. Look, trying to do damage control on this. Let's see if this is convincing to you. Chat, you tell me if it's convincing, okay? Vice President Harris's campaign has issued this statement after a Detroit rally. Prior to the rally, this is what I mean. Oh, look what she's doing. She met with supporters of the Palestinian cause from the group Uncommitted National Movement, and at the rally, she faced some protests from supporters of the cause. Oh, she met with them. She met with them, and she saw and heard their concerns. What are they complaining about? She met with them. She met with them and then said, I see you and I hear your concerns. Since October 7th, the vice president has prioritized engaging with Arab, Muslim, and Palestinian community members and others regarding the war in Gaza. In this brief engagement, she reaffirmed that her campaign will continue to engage with these communities. The vice president has been clear. She will always work to ensure that Israel is able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. The vice president is focused on securing the ceasefire and hostage deal currently on the table. As she has said, it is a time for this war to end in a way where Israel is secure, hostages are released, the suffering of Palestinian civilians ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, and self-determination. Is this supposed to be... it's been 10 months of this. Is this supposed to be convincing to anybody? This is the ask. Stop sending weapons to Israel. Stop sending weapons to Israel. She's still talking about Israel's right to defend itself 10 months into this war. Which has, like, we don't even know what the number is of people that have been killed now. We don't even know. It's been paused at around 35,000. It feels like for about the last 6 months. And we've seen the estimates that it's in the 200,000 range, actually. And she's still pulling this bullshit about ensuring that Israel has a right is able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. The vice president focused on securing the ceasefire. The ceasefire, which, as we've talked about endlessly, is actually a demand that of unilateral surrender on the part of Hamas and the Palestinians, and then for them to just like give in to some U.S. stage-managed fake two-state solution. That's the ceasefire deal that she's talking about promoting. And where the parties agree, there is no democracy. And this is one of those issues. Yes, it is. And like I was saying, like, look at Tim Walz. There's a number of really good things to like about Tim Walz, right? Even including in foreign policy. This is what I was saying earlier. Tim Walz has taken some really bold, progressive foreign policy positions throughout his career on Syria, on Yemen, on Cuba, on China. He's taken some very good positions, but like it's meaningless when the central foreign policy issue of the moment, which is just this absolutely disgusting, horrendous, horrific, criminal genocide that we've seen, this is what they're doing. It's all of that is meaningless. All those things that we could point out that are good. And if this was some like presidential election where there wasn't this genocide going on, it would be easier to talk about the differences between these two parties and to talk about the way that they would be a better choice. This is the ask. Stop funding weapons. Stop sending weapons to Israel. Stop funding Israel. That stops that's a ceasefire. That would create a ceasefire tomorrow. If Joe Brandon or Kamala Harris picked up the phone and talked to Benjamin Netanyahu or whoever the fuck else and said, this stops now or you're getting cut off, that would be a ceasefire. They could do that right now. That's been within their power for months and months and months, this entire time, since October 8th. And like, again, This is not the everyday status quo violence and genocide and ethnic cleansing and horror of the Israeli-Palestine conflict that's been ongoing for 70 years. This is like uniquely disgusting and horrible. We're not just talking about some controversial issue. This is not this controversial political issue. You know what I mean? We're not just talking about that. And we can talk about the sheer horrifying number of dead children, or the rampant destruction, the destruction of public infrastructure, hospitals, schools. There has been footage. So again, let's look at Kamala's response one more time before we get to this next thing that I wanted to say.
Surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
There has been footage circulating, I'm sure you may have seen it, over the last few days. Actual footage of Israeli torture and rape prisons. US-funded torture and rape prisons. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. That's a literal, actual description of what the United States government is funding right now. Not just bombs to be being dropped on little kids, which should be enough. It should be enough to sway someone morally or politically to do the right thing. There's footage of Israeli torture and rape prisons being circulated. It's caused this huge fissure in Israeli society because Israel wants to support their continuation of these kinds of policies of using torture and rape against Palestinian hostages. It's literally happening right now. You know what I'm trying to articulate here? This is not just some controversial issue. This is not some people believe this and some people believe this. You know? These are US-sponsored torture and rape prisons. And it's and then we are doing this yes, queen, I'm speaking, please. Girl boss shit. For people that are against this. For people who have the audacity to be against this. Against the US government. Not just funding bombs to be being dropped on little kids, but funding torture and rape prisons. Which it's footage. It's not a controversy. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a rumor. This is a factual, documented phenomenon. And remember, think about all the column inches and documentary footage and all the hand-wringing about these completely unverified, unproven Hamas rape gang accusations that have been going around since October 7th. An Israeli soldier who raped a Palestinian prisoner alongside other soldiers appeared on Israeli Channel 14 to defend his unit that committed the rape. The incident sparked outrage as it was filmed on CCTV cameras and spread to the media. The incident happened in the Sde Taman detention center, where several reports have revealed the brutal condition and systemic torture, including rape, electric shocks, and starvation against Palestinian prisoners. The incident has sparked an outrage in Israel, mainly for initiating an investigation and questioning the soldiers, but not for the rape itself. Israelis, including politicians and reserve soldiers, have even taken a step ahead, storming a military base to protest the investigation and release the soldiers, simply protesting the soldiers' rights of raping prisoners.
שלך מול המערכת, מול צה"ל, מול הפרקליטות?
אני חושב שצה"ל שלנו הוא צבא בריא ביותר. המפקדים, הלוחמים, אנשי השטח. אם יש מישהו במערכות למעלה שרוצה לקלקל לנו, אני פה להגן על שמנו הטוב. שמחתי מאוד שהימין יודע להתעורר בארץ ישראל. אני לא רוצה להיכנס לימין ושמאל, אבל זה בסוף יוצא ככה, זה לא יעזור כלום, כי הצד הימני הוא זה שקם. עם ישראל יודע להתעורר כשצריך.
This is what these protests are about. Like, you know what I mean? It's not some controversial hot button issue. This is what these protests are about. This is what the United States government and the Joe Biden administration and the Kamala Harris administration has been funding and supporting. And the ask is from these protesters, stop funding this. And they will not do it. They will not stop. And it's the same bullshit triangulation with maybe a slightly different tone or rhetorical flourish to cover it up. It's not just the Biden administration, but they're the ones that are in charge right now. They're the ones that are funding it right now. I agree. It's totally bipartisan. That's exactly why this doesn't make sense when they say, oh, if you want Trump to win, keep saying it. Well, if your issue is like Palestinian genocide, what difference does it make whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden in office? Because the same fucking thing is happening regardless. And I know you're not saying that, Duke, but like that's how incoherent that argument is. Also from Israeli TV, Israel's Channel 12 asked a question in an Israeli public opinion poll. Do you agree with the claim that a soldier is allowed to rape a prisoner with his hands tied? 47% said yes. 43% said no. This is the country that the United States government is giving endless support and arms to. This is what these people are protesting, and you've got Kamala Harris still doing epic clapbacks to the protesters. And if people want to talk about the context of that quote, and but there's other context of that quote, and she was talking about needing a ceasefire, and she was talking about meeting these groups. Oh, she met the groups and said, I see you, I hear you, and that's it. And this is what the United States government has been supporting. Yeah, and then they want to say that this represents the interests of all Jewish people. Like I've said before, I understand why people really are desperate to believe that there's going to be some shift there, because people don't want Donald Trump to be elected. People know Donald Trump won't be better on this or any other issue. They want to be excited about Kamala Harris. They want to be excited about Tim Walz. I get it. I understand. People don't want to feel depressed and fucking horrified by the results of what they have to like go and support. People are desperate to want to support this, but it's like they're still just not moving at all. The policy has not moved at all. Wanting to believe in good things is an understandable desire. But again, this is like what the U.S. government under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris has been supporting. This is what these protesters are about. And anyone that's involved in this party, whether you think it's fair or not, are going to be protested like this. And their speeches are going to be interrupted as long as this continues. Until they stop the arms, until they stop the funding, which they've now, in response to this, clearly indicated that they are not going to do. They've clearly now indicated, as a response to these protests and interruptions, that they have no intention of stopping the arms sales to Israel. And the way these liberals look at these protesters looking at them with disgust. People protesting because they don't want the United States government under the liberal Democratic administration to be funding this. And they look at them like they're these fucking monsters. We ain't going back. Go vote for Trump then. We ain't going back. How dare they interrupt our brat boss queen? That's right. It's just sickening. It's just sickening. For saying we won't vote for genocide. That's what the protesters were saying. We won't vote for genocide. And this is what Hillary Clinton calls ponies. These are one of these ponies that these radical leftists want. They have the audacity to demand the United States government stops funding genocide. That's the pony that they want to get. And that's in Michigan. And like I was saying, that's the ask is to stop funding Israel. That's all. That's the ask. And as long as that's not what the policy is, this is going to continue. And you can't even come up with a different way to like thread the needle to talk to these kind of protesters by now still? That's not of course it's not a pony. It is a reasonable request. And you know what? So is free healthcare, and so is free education, and so is better climate policy. Those aren't ponies either. And I want to contrast with this with Cori Bush's speech, her concession speech the other day. And this is what we've been saying, you know? What's the purpose of building power in these systems, in these big parties? What's the purpose of building power if when you have an opportunity to say something, when your country's subsidizing and funding a genocide, killing tens of thousands of little kids, supporting this like fucked up, sick, rapist society? What's the purpose of building power if you can't use your position to speak out against it, even if you lose? Oh, but if I speak out, my opponent's going to get funded and I'm going to lose my election. Well, then lose your election then. Cori Bush is going to be vindicated by history for taking these stances. And look at this speech. And I think this is what we should expect from progressive people that vote, that become part of this system, especially on Palestine, because the whole progressive for Palestine thing is a very, very real phenomenon.
Pulling me away from my position as Congresswoman. All you did was take some of the strings off. Let's be clear. 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 Let's talk about what it really is. Because see, now I don't have to worry about some strings that I have attached, and as much as I love my job. But all they did was radicalize me, and so now they need to be afraid.
Like, she doesn't give a shit. She doesn't care.
See, now they about to see this other Cori, this other side, because let me say this. I just grew up a whole lot more over the last few weeks. Just grew up a whole different way. And so what they are about to get, they think. So the thing is this. The thing is this. I don't think that anything, there is nothing that happens in my life that happens in vain. So if this happened, it's because it was meant to happen. And let me say, it's because of the work that I need to do. And let me say this. AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
I think this is the attitude you have to have if you're going to be part of the system. Take the right position, no matter how hard it is, no matter how mad it makes people, even if you're going to lose. And if you lose, you lose. I don't know, it was a pretty good job being a congressperson. It's a pretty good job. If I had to choose personally, and I know the chat feels the same, if I had to choose between my job as a congressperson or saying, no, I don't think our party and our government should be sponsoring this disgusting rapist society that's dropping bombs on little kids sleeping in tents, I would rather just say that. And it's nice to see some courage on this from people like Cori Bush that are trying to work within this like grotesque United States government to actually do good things rather than bad things. And the White House took the time to denounce her. There you go. Well, there it is, as Jeff Goldblum says in the film Jurassic Park. Chad, I gotta get going. Okay, I gotta get going in a few minutes to pick up my kid from camp. I am still 20 subs away from the goal. 3 hours, 30 minutes into the stream. It's been a good stream, a lot of good discussion, a lot of good commentary and analysis, as usual. If you can, please subscribe. Please help support this program and support the work that I do on here. I need all the help that I can get. And 20 subs, the ball has been hovering in the air for the last 30 minutes, waiting for someone to come slam it down into the hoop. I don't know if it's going to happen. But if there's any other fine folks or brave heroes that want to support this program and try to support the work that I do on here and keep this show on the air, please subscribe if you can. Help me make this little number at the bottom of the screen go up. As you know, folks, believe me, I don't like it. Believe me. I would prefer that it were not this way. I would prefer that it was not this way. But the reality of being able to do a little show on Twitch every single day is that the only way that that's possible is for the little number to go up. If I ever get to a point where that's not necessary, believe me, no one would be happier than me. No one would be happier than me, folks, if there was no little number. And I didn't have to think about the little number. We didn't have to talk about the number. Nothing would make me happier, believe me. This is just the simple economic reality of doing this program.
A member of the Friendship Triangle.
Risk Inverse. That's what I'm talking about. Risk Inverse, you've been so supportive of this program, and I really, really appreciate it a lot. Thank you for 5 gifted subs. I really, really do appreciate it a lot, seriously. And I appreciate everyone that supports this program. And I know that not everyone can subscribe. I know that not everyone can afford to help keep the show on the air the way it kind of needs to be. Believe me, I get it. But Risk Inverse, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs, and thanks for supporting this program. Only 2 subs before we get a song. I don't think that is true, actually. I do not believe that that's true. Just want to share a big chatter win. I got a case terminated for a gentleman who's been detained for 4.5 years and can now apply for asylum affirmatively instead of defensively in court. Chipping away at DHS. Love you all, Friendship Triangle. You give me strength. Up the Reds. Thank you so much. It's so cool the work that you do. Always happy to hear about these kind of successes. It's certainly a nightmarish, Kafkaesque system to try to work inside of to try to create some positive outcomes, and we all appreciate that you're out there doing that work. Give my regards to our friend Ugopnik, folks. We got about another 20 seconds. It's still possible if someone wants to gift 15 subs in the next 20 seconds or so. It is still technically possible. But if not, I will be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow for another stream. Thanks again, folks. I'll see you soon.